Welcome to the Friday Underground stream. You're going to have a great time, a glorious time. True story, plenty of laughs, some black pill moments. It's a fun balance of serious topics and insanely funny stuff. Really wonderful people on this panel. Enjoy.
Hello, everyone. Yes, I do know that it's not. I know what day of the week it is. I don't have a Saturday opener, so I just played what I previously had, and fuck it. I said we'll do it live, and we're gonna do it. Yeah, we're gonna do it. So we're gonna talk about this film because I know Tony, myself, a few people we've seen it already, and we want to give our views on this thing. So yeah, we're gonna be diving into it head first, and yeah. Oh, Lion Rat, he thought it was Friday. Fooled you. But yeah, we're gonna get into this. Hicksville, what's up, buddy? Brutal is saying hello to everyone. He's also on panel. Papa Cotton was the first one in here, and yeah. And hello to the folks over on the other side of things. I don't know if I know. I think I goofed when I was setting up the Rumble portion. Let me see if this thing's working. Are we going? Yeah, we're live over there too. All right, cool. So if anyone wants to pop up on that side, we are there as well, and of course on Twitter. But yeah, let me say hello to the folks here. We have Chris Fisk on panel. He's the legend. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, yeah, thanks for having me on, man. I love to bitch about old cartoons and movies that I loved in the 80s.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm sure. I mean, you'll be bitching tonight. I think.
Yeah, I will.
I mean, there's something that you told me on Friday before we started. I'm like, get at no way, because I didn't really hear any of that, and I know a couple people who saw it, and yeah, so I don't know. A buddy of mine, he came down, he was in town, and he's like, yeah, you want to go catch it? I'm like, yeah, let's go see it. So yeah, I just got back, and I know again we have another legend here. We have Monotony. So, buddy, how you doing tonight?
Happy Friday. I meant Saturday night, everyone.
You son of a.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude. Yeah. 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 Well, we're gonna be doing it. Yeah. We're gonna go scene by scene. Right now, yeah, I'm gonna let you know it is a big spoiler alert because yeah, who cares? The title says what? Ghostbuster Frozen Empire review. And with the review, we're going to have a full spoiler too, because, yeah, why the hell not? We do have Brutal Morningwood in the house as well. Hey, buddy. And there goes Brutal.
Yeah, there I am.
There he is.
Anyway, yeah, jumping in head first is my specialty, and so I'm ready to pound out a good stream. Yeah.
Nice.
Excellent. So thanks for the invite.
Yes. And it's, I don't know. I was going to say it's not a full bash of a film, but we're probably gonna bash it. There was still some good moments in it. I wouldn't completely throw out the baby with the bathwater on this one, but were there some stupid parts? Oh, absolutely. And one of them, like, you can't even edit it out properly because it's kind of a pivotal scene in the movie that's kind of a catalyst for stuff too. So whew. But yeah, Hicksville, what's up, man? Yeah, he did say it's a huge step down from Afterlife. Yeah, Afterlife, I really enjoyed. Was that one perfect? No, but I think it was more of a love letter for sure to the first two movies. And again to the Harold Ramis who passed away and all that. And yeah, I enjoyed that. This one they tried to keep some of the same recipe, and I think they do fall short in many ways. Tahillam, what's up, buddy? Good seeing you. We got the Doc's in the house too. Adega, hey man.
Hey.
He's gonna miss the show. Oh, okay. Oh yeah, man. No problem, man. No problem. But yeah. This one's basically tonight is just like a review of this movie and kind of a full breakdown of it. So let's share screen here. There you go. It's this movie for anyone who is kind of starting to come in and yeah. So starting off, Tone, should we do it scene by scene? You want to do it like that or as close to it?
I mean, we can for, as much as I can remember, the order of the movie, but
Yeah.
we can definitely start off with that beginning because, I mean,
All right.
I was kind of cringing like in the first 10 minutes of the movie.
Well, wait. There was the opening is New York, 1904. That's the opening of the movie. Were you cringing on that?
Oh, no. Sorry.
It was right
it's
after
the first scene in the present. Yeah.
Okay. So all right. So 1904 we open with, and they did a nice job. That did look good. New York, kind of turn of the century, 1904. They show the firehouse, and it's actually firehouse, and you see the doors kick open, and the horses are pulling their wagon and all that, and they get to where they have to get to, and it's kind of like those more of the rich upper class kind of situation going on. I can't remember the building. Was it a hotel? Were they at another hotel in that scene?
Basically,
regardless.
yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
No, they were maybe it was a hotel, but yeah, it was like that building
Sedgwick.
for the whatever group.
Yeah. So there's like an elite group of essentially that they're having
New York
some kind
Adventurers Club or something.
Yeah, they're having like some kind of big gala of with the rich stuffy bastards do, a lot of people behind closed doors in in that upper echelon. But they get there, and again, I think it's the summer as well. But these firefighters, you see like a bunch of, it looks like what is smoke kind of outside this door and gets sucked back inside. And one of the firefighters, he goes to push it open, and his hand is touching like the metal part of the door that you could push open, and it's cold, it's frozen, and his hand starts to freeze to it. And the guys yank him off, and then they basically kick down the door. And as they do, you see this room full of, again, these rich people, all completely frozen. They're like,
you had me at the guys yank them off. That was
yeah.
Is that when he like touches them and he shatters like glass and then?
No, not yet. But as I walk in there, you could see like all the people that are in this room, and there's a bunch of them, and you just kind of hear something that's repeating, like on one of those old-fashioned music.
Vitrolas.
Yeah, one of those things. So as this thing's going, like you see, like all the guys are kind of moving in there slowly. There's no fire, but they see everything is completely frozen. It's cold as shit in there, and there's like a podium and like a slight little stage, and someone is sitting beside on the floor of this podium, and there is an older guy who's at the podium, and you just see his hand is severed, and his hand is still on the handle of the of that music box thing, as this thing is still doing its chant. And
and that part was cool.
That did look pretty cool. And one of the firefighters, he goes over and he sees the person who's sitting down is holding some kind of brass ball item, and it's kind of moving slightly. There's pieces of it that are kind of moving, and this person is wearing some weird garb, like some kind of brass helmet thing that's covering up its face. It almost looked Persian or Indian, something like that. And they go to touch the person, and the eyes open up, and that's when everyone starts to shatter in the room. And everyone does. And they kind of zoom into this ball that a couple of panels move, and it's complete darkness. And it pans into it, and you see some kind of thing with glowing eyes. And then it opens up to the Ghostbusters afterlife thing. And it starts off, and you hear the siren of Ecto 1, and it's driving all over the streets of New York. And I got to say, it did look cool seeing the car back in New York like that. That was good. Jason Reitman did not direct this one.
Nope.
He co-wrote it and produced it. I forgot the name of the guy who did direct this one, but he did do a good job directing. I'll say that much. But there are parts of this movie that definitely cringeworthy. Definitely.
Yes.
And as Tony was pointing out, the present day scene is just annoying. They're trying to repeat moments of the previous film, but it's more like this kind of nonchalant, oh yeah, we just happen to be we're a family of Ghostbusters type of vibe. And I'm like, oh.
They take out a freaking building.
So now, can I ask a question? Can I ask a question quickly?
9 inches.
Not that question. That's back here in the back. I've got that question.
9.5.
Privately. When they were driving through the streets of New York with the Ecto 1, were they driving past goats and people shitting in the streets and shit? Was it like?
No, I think this was pre-pandemic.
Well, you know, like I like the hearkening back to to the firehouse and all that shit.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think the writers understood the significance of the firehouse in this film.
Mm-hmm.
The whole point of the firehouse is that a rich retard liked to slide down a fireman's pole, and they spent money. That's the joke. There's no other significance to the firehouse than that. And this movie missed that joke.
Yep. They tried to add like significance to it that doesn't need to be there. Like the whole thing was an unextraordinary building for 4 unextraordinary men who happened to step up and do something cool, you know.
Well,
I don't know.
To quote Egon, you know, I think this place should be condemned. The neighborhood is a demilitarized zone. The metallurgy in this building will require like more money than we have to repair. The wiring is insufficient. Mm-hmm. We need to look for a better place. But all of a sudden, the fireman's pole. This place is great.
And here's the other main issue I have with this film, because it's major writing flaws. Winston is a multimillionaire guy or whatever. He bought this place to ensure the safety of what's kind of going on and what's in their basement, obviously.
Yeah, the containment
unit with the ghost. And in this film, he builds something else elsewhere. And knowing that this is kind of a pivotal point, and especially it's almost like the gateway doorway area to the other side, which they kind of established in the film. Don't you think he would have tried to fix this place up a little bit more over the, couple of decades he had it?
Look at all these millions. What do I care?
Or did he just kind of come into this all at once? Did he win a lottery or something?
Well, I like that Winston isn't just the like the butt of the jokes, or like he was in the second film, or like, you know, the straight man, the Dr. Watson of the first movie.
Yeah.
I like that they gave him more of like a respectable, like he's actually kind of a badass. But like, dude, questions like what you just asked should have been answered long time ago.
And that's where this movie falls short in a massive way, because they want to just jump right into these new characters, and they still have, like, Ray was still good in it. Again, Winston, like they had their moments, but if you're gonna go with this story, then you should have established a little bit more, because again, like that first film, they had enough of it in there where it made so much sense with Egon and his whole purpose of why he went in the middle of nowhere, out there, and like all the science kind of stuff made sense. A little bit of the lore of all that shit. In this one, like, they're skipping past too much shit. You should have told us how he came into that money, or again, how come he didn't fix up this firehouse beforehand? Why didn't he make sure that it was going to be sturdier? This shit where it goes straight into, spoil again. I said there's going to be spoilers all over this. Where they eventually want to start transferring ghosts out of the old containment unit and bring it to this new facility.
Yeah,
it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, because they're really okay. Other than nostalgia, there is literally no significance to the firehouse. In fact, keeping everything at the firehouse is kind of a liability because it's in the shithole part of town. You know, the building itself is falling apart and will require more money to fix it than it would be to just build a new place. You know what I mean? So,
Absolutely.
like you're saying, it's just like with like technology, like. When you phase out old technology, like any good businessman knows that you need to, transfer to the newer shit and you need to make it as smooth as possible. Waiting till the last minute until Garaka here shows up and you're like, oops, like that's a bad, like that's a huge plot hole. Like,
it's massive. And there's a bunch of them throughout this film, and like I said, and like Tony was saying too, in the opening there, you have this family dynamic. So the girl's a little bit older. She's in her teenage years now, 15, 16. And you can see she has this kind of combating with the mother kind of situation going on. Paul Rudd he's still like this kind of lovable guy. Like everybody likes him, but he doesn't want to cross the line because he's not their father.
Dude, he's so typecast now. I feel so bad for Paul Rudd.
I know. Half the movie, I'm like, all right, his shtick is getting old, and then towards the middle to the other half, I'm like, nah, I'm still okay with him. Like
he's playing Ant-Man.
He's a likable guy. But this film, it's missing in a lot of areas. The kid he's 18 now, and he thinks he's more of a man, but yet he's still crying for his mommy at times.
He's dumb as shit.
Kinda. But I mean, he's kind of typecast too, right? Let's face it.
Yeah.
All right, Carrie Coon. I like her as an actress, but it feels like they didn't know what the hell they were doing with her in this film.
Too many characters.
Huh?
Too many characters.
Thank you. That's the other point. There was a way to make it a little bit more natural, make more sense. Again, if you use the older guys to kind of center it, I don't want to say center it completely, but you could have them again explaining more things because there's shit where I'm like, well, Ray, how come you didn't tell them this earlier? Or there's information that would have fucking made a huge bit of difference to the family who pretty much inherited this firehouse, and now they're kind of taking the mantle of Ghostbusters. Like that still felt so unnatural to me because you didn't see a proper passing of the torch type situation. It's you have two kids and two adults that are doing Ghostbuster jobs out of nowhere, and one of them is like a bored housewife mom kind of thing.
And that's one thing about the beginning that kind of made me cringe. Like, I'm sorry, but if you attended the Lilith Fair, you shouldn't be like a superhero. I bitched about this in Wonder Woman 84, how in the beginning of that movie, Gal Gadot, the way she was portrayed fighting those terrorists or whatever in the mall, it looked like a minivan commercial. It looked like she was doing that before dropping the kids off at soccer, And same thing here. You've got the mom over here. See you later, alligator. And then like trapping the fucking ghost in the It's like, nobody wants to see mom is the superhero. Nobody wanted to see Melissa McCarthy in the Ghostbusters outfit. Nobody wanted to see Pepper fight at the end of Avengers Endgame. Like, it's all... Nobody's asking for this, except for maybe people who aren't going to watch the movie anyway.
Exactly.
Like, even if you do that, give them like some justice, give them some justice.
Give them a reason for it.
Like a reason, like a purpose, a fucking
because you could have done that. Because I know Tony, he gets really pissed at something that happens later in the movie, but there is an argument to be made with it because there's another character. It's like, why the hell that character even suit up? Granted, that character does not even do anything at all.
Oh no, are we talking about Janine?
Yeah, she does nothing in that film. It's just she's there at certain moments because they almost like the landlord. Can you check out? We had a problem over here. Check it out and then call your handyman.
No, it feels like this movie, like it was something Tony had mentioned earlier about how the series peaked at the first movie and it's just gone south since. Like I agree in the sense that the first movie was the only one that was in that continuity, and every movie that has come out since is based off of the real Ghostbusters cartoon. Because there is a lot of differences between the cartoon and the first movie. The first movie, adult comedy, like kids should not see that movie.
Right.
I saw, but like that movie is like you could take out the ghosts and put in anything else, and the movie would work just as well. You know,
Well,
if they were like exterminated for giant insects or something.
Yeah.
You know.
So, like, I'll say this. So, the original movie, like, if you're going to put them in order of, like, you know, a good story and entertaining movies, it would be the first movie, the video game, then the second movie, then Afterlife, and you're good. You can tack this on at the end if you want, but there's not much to salvage from it. Like I said, there's some decent parts, there's some cool story elements and good visuals, but there's too many plot holes in this film to really be like really enjoyable. If you're high, you'll probably like it. If you're drunk, you'll probably like it. If you're going in there like looking for, you know, more story, more backstory in these characters and how we got to the point that we got and how they're in the fire, you're not going to get it.
Well,
it's literally like I'm sorry, this family should not have inherited the firehouse. It's Winston's. Winston has it. He should have fixed that place up properly. Let's say he just acquired it. Let's say, for argument's sake, he was having a major legal battle with New York because we know Manhattan is a shithole. We know what happened.
He overestimated the value of his property.
Yeah, and he's fighting the legal system, and he goes, you know what? We finally had the loophole. We got the squatters out of this building. We're gonna fix it up now, and we're gonna make it spectacular. And you're gonna have Ghostbusters back in here. No, we didn't. We have the Ghostbusters that are back there. This place is still kind of a shithole, and you're having issues with the containment unit. Now, this is something that was, again, teased at the end of the last movie. So you think that they would step up their game a little bit and make sure things were better and fixed. Nope. We have a family who's just like, yeah, we're Ghostbusters. I was going to say firefighters. We're Ghostbusters now. And the girl is the most competent one out of all of them in the start.
And the most unlikable.
But she is super reckless, and they're in the middle of, again, they're chasing this alligator ghost thing, whatever, a long tail, and she decides to use the side door, the gunner seat, which she shouldn't have. And when she does, like, she rips apart part of a building. Yeah. Granted, she gets the ghost. And that's kind of the thing too. I wasn't that bothered by that because in the other movies, it's the same thing. The Ghostbusters screwed up Manhattan. They made a lot of damage, but at the same time, they stopped what they needed to stop. So I'm like, that's fitting for that movie universe.
Yeah, but the scope was a little different. Like again, the joke was that the Ghostbusters caused more damage than the ghost when they went to the Sedgwick to take out Slimer. Like that was the joke. It was like, holy shit, like, you know? And then the whole end with that, you know, the whole part where they go on top of the building and take out Gozer and all that stuff. That was kind of like the finale. Like.
Oh, I agree. But I'm just saying, for me personally, looking at the movie like that didn't bother me so much because it's one building that had, like, you know, part of the floor or whatever. It was like zapped through with a nuclear fucking cannon she's got there. But again, that's in line with these type of characters, what I was saying. So I didn't really give that much of a shit. But it was also a reason to get in front of the mayor, who now you see who the mayor is, and it's
Walter Peck.
Walter Peck, he became mayor. And he basically he's scolding like you guys are dangerous and everything else. And then out of their own mouth, like they hang themselves essentially. Like she says that she's underage. It's like, oh, you're not even supposed to be doing this. And like, I could arrest you, just, you know, arrest this family for, you know, child endangerment. And then they're not even paying her. He goes, oh, child labor laws. Like, he had some good moments and good lines. Like, it was like.
Can I just say that, like, can we have justice for William Atherton? Like, the same way that we got Daniel LaRusso was the villain of Karate Kid, can we get Walter Peck was the hero of Ghostbusters? It's everything he said is 100% correct. He wouldn't be voted mayor if everybody hated him. Like, clearly the man is the good guy here.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, it's good. So anyway, the little girl gets sidelined, and it's like the three of them because they are adult. I'm 18. I'm an adult. Good for you, son. Like his character's supposed to be stupid, so I mean, it is what it is. But Paul Rudd is like he's just too happy to be there. You know, like that's why the dynamic is odd. In the original movie, it makes sense how they kind of got together. First of all, they were friends, and then second of all, like kind of what they were doing, and they each had their own thing, and the way they came together, it was good. This was just like, okay, so here's a family, and he's a part of the Insta family now, and like their banter's okay, the parents, but at the same time, it's still like, what is she doing being a Ghostbuster? Like it doesn't make sense. At least he was a science teacher. And okay, if he wants to move in with this family and he's part of their lives now or whatever, and there's still stuff to play with to make it make more sense. Their through lines are shit, but it's like what Papa Cotton said or whatever. Like they all think Hollywood is retarded and they think the audience is retarded. So it's more of like these kind of big moments that they want to have and these storylines that don't make fucking sense. Just it's there because plot, or it's there because we need something cool to happen here. And yet, where is Rick Moranis? He should have been in here.
Yeah, I was about to say, Tahillim got a good question down there. Where the hell is Rick Moranis at?
Yeah, he could have been.
Didn't Rick Moranis retire after his wife died or something so he could raise his kids, and then he got punched in the face?
He came out of retirement. I think he did one or two little things. He did a commercial or something, and I want to say a bit part somewhere else. But yeah, they could have easily put him in here and made it make sense and be funny and cool. Shit, he could have taken over Patton Oswalt's role, because I'm sorry, I can't stand that little creep.
I know.
I was telling Chris before we started, because I said there's two people in the movie where it's like he was saying the kiss of death basically, and Kamal Nanjiani, he had more of a role in this film, and I found Patton Oswalt more annoying, and he's in one scene, just giving like a lot of exposition.
Leave Rick Moranis alone. Punch Patton Oswalt in the face.
It's so sad. He's in one scene.
I'm not condoning violence on the stream, but
in Minecraft.
The underlying problem is, which we've been kind of hitting out this entire time, is in Afterlife, it's like, okay, it made sense. Harold Ramis's Egon's grandkids are, finishing his work, kind of avenging his death. And, it really did give us that sweet send-off and stuff. But, like, when we walked out of the movie theater, we brought my grandma-in-law, and she was like, oh, I didn't really like it. She was like, back when the first Ghostbusters came out, it was for adult men who were Ghostbusters, not little children. I don't like that it's little children. And that's like, okay, I can see it for Afterlife, but going forward, like, yeah, kids shouldn't be Ghostbusters. And that's like what Hollywood I guess Hollywood thinks that'll relate to the audience better, but I want to see, like, granted, comedy's basically dead, but four of like the better comedians of our time, Yeah.
Well,
that's who I would like to see as the Ghostbusters, not a family, not a fucking soccer commercial.
I agree.
Stupid.
I agree, because this is what should have happened. And again, look who they put as the leader of the pack here. Okay, so if you take out the three on the end, you should have had the original ones in there training Paul Rudd, since he was a science teacher. He might have a little more knowledge. You could have, again, the older kid kind of as his lackey, kind of showing him the ropes a little bit. Like, he shouldn't have even been a full-fledged Ghostbuster yet, let alone the little girl. The girl, she should have been tinkering more with like their nuclear packs and whatnot, because she kind of did it in the first one. The grandfather helped her, gave her a little bit of insight. Like, it would make sense if you wanted her to be kind of the techie type person. And the mother could have just been the secretary cleaning the fucking firehouse. I would have been okay with that.
If I had my druthers, first of all, I would have made this a horror movie the way the first movie was a horror movie.
Yeah.
Okay. Second thing I would have done was the respects I would have paid was I would have had Winston, Ray, and Peter, like you said, possibly with Gruberson there as like their initiate or whatever.
Yep.
But they get fucked up. They get destroyed. They get killed off. I don't care. Just something that is like, holy crap, we need more people to come in and help. Either they're imperiled, they're brought into another dimension. I don't give a shit. Just something where we're showing a reason for the passing of the torch, not just you inherited it. Here you go, kids.
Yeah.
Up in the minivan, like and get freaking Alfonso Ribeiro in there as one of Egon's former students, because Alfonso Ribeiro played Roland in the cartoon, and he was like your smart, like he would have been a good bridge, like somebody that's like
Alfonso
not a kid.
Rivero. Who's that again? Is it the one from Fresh Prince?
Yeah, it's
Carlton.
Okay.
But yeah, he played Roland, which was like he was Egon's understudy in the cartoon. So like, put in that bridge where you're not a child, but you're not like an old guy. And I hate to say it, but as much as Black Don't Crack, man, Ernie Hudson, man, that guy's looking good for his age. Everybody else is like a fossil. Like you're too old for an action movie, and you're too old to be like it's like when Carrie Strauss shows up, or whatever her name is, freaking diarrhea lady from the commercial shows up in Halloween, and it's like, get away from her. Yeah, when Jamie Lee Curtis shows up, it's like, you're not the final girl anymore. You've lived longer than most people do.
Side note, and this was hilarious that you even mentioned that. They had a trailer for Borderlands in the beginning of this.
Oh, God.
Dude, I was laughing my ass off. I turned to my friend, I go, dude, what is this? This looks like grandma's cosplaying in a movie. Oh, it was retarded.
Yeah, it looks really sad. And here's the thing: is like I have a lot of respect for the older guard, because that's what we watched as kids. So like when movies were good, that's who we saw.
Yeah.
But you have to learn to pass the torch. It's like what Grace Slick said from Jefferson frickin' Starship. She's like, I'm not going to be in my 80s on stage rocking out with these guys. Like, there's a time you have to acknowledge that you're too old to be there and pass the torch and move on.
Right. And oh my God, dude, yeah, that trailer was hilarious. I'll say one thing though, Kate Blanchett, still very bangable. Her body was incredible.
Hell yeah.
But she miscast for that role. I'm sorry, completely miscast. Still would bang her, but yeah, the rest of that movie looks like garbage. And I'm so sick of Kevin Hart. I mean, that was it. The whole thing looked ridiculous. It looked like a sci-fi original movie or something.
Yeah.
But get back into this though.
If they just pass the torch in a meaningful way, instead of like what Tony was saying, the soccer minivan commercial or whatever.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing: is like Afterlife showed us that these are viable characters. Like we were rooting for them. We loved them
for sure.
And
that's
you gotta.
Well, that's the point I was going to make too. Because to me, it makes no sense why they're in that firehouse. What they could have done, and it would have been a quick, easy fix too, with some exposition, and you have Winston being like, okay, I realize like that home that you had there, Egon's home is like kind of destroyed now. It's not good. It's full. And he invited them back out there. And it's like, you could live in the firehouse, like we're cleaning it up. We're fixing it up. And it's like, you're the residents of it now. And they could do something along those lines. And like I said, like some of those other elements, you could have some of them in training since they're there. And Paul Rudd, let's say he left his job and everything because he wants to be with Egon's daughter. Fine. I don't care. We've seen people do crazier things. Leave the country for whatever. It's like people do this shit. So you could have had him there, and since he's there and he helped him a little bit in the last film, start showing him the ropes. It would have made sense, have maybe Ray or somebody else like go on a smaller job or something, and kind of like you could have some of those fun moments if you want to harken back to those like the original movie. And like you guys were saying, go a little more horror with it. There were things that it was there. These characters are right there. Why did you fucking dumb it down to a level that is like pure retardation? That's what's so upsetting. Because like Tony, like you guys are saying, this is a fucking soccer mom in a minivan commercial, basically.
Well, it suffers from the Star Wars prequels effect, where everybody gets a lightsaber. Now everybody gets a proton pack in a Ghostbusters uniform.
Basically.
And that cheapens it. Like they don't they only get it at the superficial level. If these if the Spanglers were, like you said, dude, that makes a perfect setup. Ernie Hudson's like, look, man, your property went to shit. You're destitute. You have no money. There's no reason for you guys to stay here anymore. The containment unit, whatever Egon did, is no longer. There's no value in, like, it served its purpose. Let's bring you back to New York. We can put you up in the firehouse. That could even be a joke. Like, that would be a fucking hilarious joke where it's like, yo, I got the perfect place for you. You guys could hang out. You know, I got a place in downtown, whatever. And then also just cuts to like the shithole that is the firehouse. Yeah. And then they're like, you can live here rent free because we know your finances suck. But part of you staying here is you have to be custodians of the containment unit. That means keeping riffraff from breaking in, making sure nothing happens. If you hear alarms going off, you give us a call immediately, all that shit. You're not Ghostbusters. You're just fucking taking care of this shithole building that has something really valuable in it. Boom. There's your story right there. And then you bring in Phoebe, who's your genius little girl who, like, maybe Slimer's there. Maybe she fucking learns more about that. Maybe there's other shit that happens where, like, the supernatural things are trying to fucking break out of the containment unit or whatever. Right. And she's the one that, like, alerts everybody. And then you bring the old guard back in.
Exactly. But and to that note, Slimer is in here. They do put him into the film. But it's more of like an ongoing joke with Wolfhard there.
Yeah.
And
Well,
it's like a throwaway thing too. It's okay.
I was going to bring this up when you were talking about the mom should stay at home and clean the fucking fire station. The mom should have had Finn Wolfhard's storyline in this. She should have been getting slimed by Slimer, and like, and it would have been funny, not because she's just a woman. It would have given her some character. It would have done something for her.
Finn dude, it would have been like the mom with the gremlins.
Exactly. Finn Wolfhard is treated like a fucking moron in this movie. Like, Jesus.
Did somebody say something about character?
He was kind of like, stoic isn't the word, but he was kind of like a bit silent. Like, just, he was handled properly in the first movie. And he was even driving the Ecto 1 around and shit. Then he goes to drive the Ecto 1 in this one, and it's like a fucking driving lesson. His mom's like, no.
Tony, so how many times did you see this? What's going on? So you seen this one?
Yeah, me and Tony have.
Okay, so now this is what I've heard. I heard some people say it was bad. Heard some people say it was really good. Then I heard other people say it was roughly about the same as the last one.
It's a downgrade from the last one.
Is it a downgrade?
Yeah, we're tearing into it kind of scene by scene, and Tony was going over he's making really good points about how they kind of swapped character roles, and they really shouldn't have.
Yeah. Well, I mean, here's my biggest problem. Like, and I had a talk with Vinny about this. Like, and the people that said it was roughly about the same. My problem is they knew what worked in the last one. Especially after that disastrous freaking 2016 monstrosity thing that we don't even associate with this franchise. But they knew what worked. They knew what worked well in the last one. Why didn't they expound upon that? Why didn't they freaking do more like that instead of apparently giving a lackluster performance?
Well, it comes down to the bad writing. There's plot holes everywhere. This is what I was saying. And instead of making sense out of it and giving more, if you have more reasons for them to actually be in New York and in the firehouse, and you had Winston again, because they set it up like he's going to be the money guy. He's financing a new operation, and they're going to fix it back up. Like, they set it up for it, and then they don't give you that. They just kind of throw you into it. Oh, the families, they're Ghostbusters, like right out of the gate.
Well, Vinny, let's be slightly fair here, just for a moment. Let's be slightly fair as far as we're talking about plot holes, because when you're going from Ghostbusters 1 to Ghostbusters 2, there's a whole bunch of plot holes in Ghostbusters 2, and while it's not as good as the first one, it's still enjoyable. Now,
Well,
can you say this one is at least enjoyable?
No, it's unneeded.
There's a handful of moments, but like, yeah, Tony's right. This film was unneeded.
Can I
Well,
point out too, as far as the writing, real quick? Ivan Reitman was still alive to help Jason Reitman write Ghostbusters Afterlife, but he was gone for the writing of this movie. So
yeah,
maybe that's kind of the noticeable difference we're seeing in the writing here.
I think so, because like I said, it's not just plot holes. There's just shit that just doesn't make sense, and they could have easily corrected it with a little bit of proper dialogue and a little bit of a better setup, and to refresh people. Okay, like, because in the last movie, again, we have a family that doesn't have money. We have a family that inherited that home because there's nothing there for them. So like I was saying, you could have Winston be like, I got a place for you. Set them up in the firehouse. They start to work on it and try to clean it up as much as they could and do what they have to do. Even if you want to have the secondary thing that they end up doing in the movie, you still need that firehouse and the containment unit to be properly managed so that ghosts aren't flying out of there. The thing doesn't explode and whatnot. And then, like I said, in the process, start training Paul Rudd and the older kid to be Ghostbusters, while you have the little girl tinkering and doing her thing. If you want to put a damn proton pack in her hand later in the movie because they need the extra hands, that's fine too. That would be okay. The mom that she's automatically, just because she's Egon's daughter, now she's just a Ghostbuster, does not make fucking sense.
Nope, not even slightly.
Yeah. What's up, Tim? Good seeing you, brother.
Well, look how dumb she looks in the screenshot right there. The mom. I mean, she just doesn't.
I know
it doesn't work.
If I had time, I would have put a mop in her hand instead.
Dude, so you have way too many characters in this film, but if you tell parallel stories that are, threaded between them, you can manage a large ensemble cast.
Yes.
Okay. And if you had it so that you had that same kind of scenario that, so you've got the meta story going on with Garaka, who's like the big ice demon thing or whatever.
Yep.
Okay. That's where your main cast is focused on. But your sub story or your subplot, the thing that, that follows Ma Spengler here, like, she could be the one that thwarts the containment breach, or she could be the one that's like, great, I'm not a Ghostbuster, but like, Jesus Christ, what the hell kind of crap? Like, what kind of dump is this that we're put up in? Like, are we really hurting this bad? I might as well go live out of a Motel 8 like some hooker.
Yeah.
She's cleaning the place up. She's cleaning the place up, and that's where we meet Slimer, like what Tony was saying, where you put all those little slapstick whatever, where he gets slimed and he does all this shit. That's her. She's the one that has to deal with him, and then she's the one that ultimately throws him in the containment unit. The same way that like the mom in Gremlins had to take care of the Gremlins after Billy Peltzer went to work. All those things hatched. Like, she's a badass chick. Okay, that's great, but she's not a fucking Ghostbuster. Don't do that.
Hold
on, Vinny. Let me hit this real quick. What Chris was saying. You're saying like everybody needs to get their own story if you're going to have that big of an ensemble of cast, and I actually do disagree with that. And this is my point. Reason why. We've had plenty of movies in the past that had a very large ensemble cast, and each character didn't get like a whole big spotlight to shine and really show you who those characters were. But the damn movies worked, even with the larger ensemble cast. I'm talking about older movies like The Dirty Dozen and stuff like that, where you had these huge freaking roll call characters, and you didn't get to know every single one of them that well. They could have made it work if they would have told, like you're saying, if they would have told a cohesive story that they all could have kind of fit into little spots in without having to really get dynamically like, okay, this is exactly what they're doing and how they're doing. You don't need to do that as long as everything flows really well.
That's what subplot is, dude. When you have those mini stories, essentially, because otherwise there's no fucking reason to add these characters.
Right.
If you don't have a relevance for them, don't put them in.
Yeah, I think that is a great point that Chris was making about all that, because you could do that. Those little moments. It doesn't mean she's gonna have a giant storyline or nothing, but it's she's the mom who's kind of taking care of the house, of the place, whatever, the firehouse, and these things happen, and you have your interactions with Slimer. It makes for funny moments. They're quick beats. You don't have to spend a shit ton of time with her. And then even later, you can have a joke between her and Bill Murray, who got slimed nonstop by Slimer in that first freaking film, which made sense. And in the cartoon, they did it all the time as well. So you could have that she's like, yeah, I got that little bastard. He's in the containment unit. And you could have Bill Murray saying some funny lines along the, And,
you got that little shit after all this time?
Right?
Okay, I like this one.
Exactly.
Can I just point out, because RR had mentioned in the comments, it sounded like everyone did this movie for the paycheck, and that's what I was kind of thinking too, was, like, one reason the writing isn't good was because there was no need for this movie. It's not like someone had an idea and was like, hey, it's that the first movie did relatively well, so we're making a second one, This is Sony. This is Columbia Pictures, Sony. Their biggest franchise is Spider-Man. Right. And they've redone those movies 1,600 times. They need another franchise that they can really rely on here. And that's what they're trying to do with Ghostbusters. But
well, Tony, here, let me ask you this, and this is for anybody on the panel. Do you think it was too soon for this one? Because I think the first one really drew in the nostalgia bait trap, because it was kind of giving you what you wanted a little bit more than, that god-awful 2016. They made it feel like Ghostbusters. They're showing you some of the old school Ghostbuster characters. Do you think it was too soon for this one, and they didn't have enough of the nostalgia vibe to draw people back in?
I'm going to say no off the bat for the simple reason. All they needed was to have that script in the oven longer. Just burn the whole fucking thing and start from scratch.
Well, Vinny, you got to know why I'm asking this question.
Well, but hold on. Because right now, I'm going to be honest. After especially how they ended that last movie, I wanted to see more of these characters and how they were going to make this work. And they proved to me that they could not make it work. They just threw you into it okay, just you have to accept their Ghostbusters right out of the gate. And that's
but Vinny, the reason I'm even saying this is, once again, we're going back to what we do on Thursday night, and we're talking about freaking the toys that are associated with this movie. And I don't care how badly they are done. You can have a line that's not really all that done well, but if people are excited for a freaking movie and for a franchise, they're going to wind up buying those damn figures anyway. Look what Star Wars is still selling out on some of their shit. They're still selling that goddamn garbage, even with the freaking horrible movies they're putting out. Why? Because people are still interested in Star Wars as a whole. I mean, even if they're fed up with the current iteration of it, there's still a lot of people that love it so much they're still going to spend a lot of money to go buy those damn characters. And I am not seeing it with this movie and the newer figures that are coming out. The only ones that people seem to care about are the ones from the real Ghostbusters that are the retro ones.
Yeah. Well, hold on. This is the point I was making earlier, because they said if you're going to put all these films in a line, what's best to worst. Best one's the first one. I said the second one would be the video game. And the reason why I put that over the second movie in Afterlife is because the video game spent time with the characters and made everything make sense.
Yep.
And that thought process was not put into this film. Because even if you didn't even have to take all of it. You could put maybe a third of that type of thought process in there just to have a logical base for why they're there. And it wouldn't have taken up much screen time to do it. There was sloppy writing, and that's the thing that irritates me the most right out of the gate, because you had an awesome villain. The villain was fantastic.
Yeah.
Garaka. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's scary. It's scary as shit.
It was. And you have something else in the movie, and it felt like they took a lot of scary moments out of the film. There's another place that Winston's setting up. It's almost like a science lab type thing that has a bigger containment unit that's more secure and all this other great shit that he's making something special there. But they're also doing tests on these other ghosts that are in kind of like this sectioned off areas, and it's the same technology that's keeping the ghosts inside. Of the when they're inside the trap, of the proton shit's got they're safeguards so that they can't get out. But there's a terrifying one that's in there that they hint at and never fully let him come out. They keep feeding you oh yeah, he's gonna break out. You're gonna have an awesome scene. This thing's probably gonna rip people apart. You didn't get any of it.
Yep.
Yep.
Well, that, and to go to what again Tony was mentioning, they provided like the writing was so bad that it's almost like you need to ask them, did you watch Afterlife? Because like the characters in Afterlife don't act like the characters in this film.
Yep.
Like Phoebe is insufferable. Like
she completely different character. Completely different.
Yeah.
Dude, she was like the reason why I love that character in Afterlife so much is that she was an awkward autistic nerd, okay? Yeah. And the fact that she was fallible but still good-hearted, and she, you know, her and Podcast got together and they figured it out, like with the insight of like the ghost of Egon was trying to talk to everybody else, but the little autistic girl was the only one that listened.
Yep.
Like I love that about her character, you know? Yeah. And they completely threw that out for this emo. You don't understand me, Mom. I'm an adult. I can do this too. And like go and does a lesbian thing with another ghost melody. Like, who wants to see that?
That situation, we're gonna get into that too. That was so fucking unnecessary. I'm sorry, completely unnecessary. And you could tell how they were doing the dumb shit that they wanted to do.
Yep.
Because there were some moments and some elements, I'm sorry, that I was okay with seeing it, and it looked like they were going to expand upon it, and then they didn't. Like, they just kind of left you there. Like, the whole situation with Ray and his occult bookstore thing, and he's using that kid Podcast. Like, he's almost there for the summer. The kid lied and said he's, like, at space camp or something to his grandma or whatever. And he's like speaking Korean or whatever the hell it was on the phone when she called. Like, that was funny. The two of them, like, their dynamic's good. And it makes sense that he's using this kid to kind of get his platform off the ground. And you remember me, I was a Ghostbuster. Now I'm doing this YouTube channel thing.
Yeah.
And, like,
see, that's good. Like, I love that stuff. Like,
yes.
More of that, please.
That's what I mean. You have some elements of it. They didn't think out everything. And look, they made sense out of why Podcast is there with him. That's fine. We get it. They had a connection in the first movie. They had respect for one another. They're both into that. Like, that worked. We didn't get that with the family. The family's just there. Accept it. And they're Ghostbusters. So the kid is working with Ray. There's some funny scenes that they have there. That's fine. I'm cool with that. Winston being the money guy is still fine. But he set up this other place, and it's like he just left the firehouse to them to go ahead. Yeah. If it burns down type of attitude. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Tim, if you're drunk or high, you'll probably enjoy the film. If you go in there wanting more logic and more behind kind of why they're there, and you want more story because you love the previous movie, and you're like, yeah, let's see where they're going to go with this and how they're going to build it up, you're not going to get it. They have small elements of it. Like I said, what was it like? Was it like a SeaWorld type place that was out of business and they used that? Tony, was it something like that?
Something like that. It was, yeah.
So, like, you had elements of it, and this younger guy who's kind of your Egon type of person who's kind of working it there. He didn't bother me all the way, but he felt, again, like this kind of, here's a generic version
of one dude.
Yeah.
So as per Vinny's recommendation, if you were going to go see this movie and you were expecting something phenomenal, reach out to Cheech and Chong's and get some really good edibles before you go see this movie.
Stop by the dispensary.
Can I say too, as far as the high and drunk thing, I mean, you kind of need to be, because moments of this movie, it gets a little too fantastical for the Ghostbusters universe. And I get it. We're dealing with, ghosts and stuff, but first off, the friendly ghost, the lesbian lover of Phoebe or whatever, that was a little like, it felt out of place. But then Kumail Nanjiani's character, like controlling fire and shooting it from his hands and all that's a little too fantastical for the Ghostbusters.
Yeah, I agree.
It felt a little too Marvel-y or something. Like,
yeah. Which, and I'll be honest, I didn't completely hate. I thought I was really going to despise seeing him. His delivery was still pretty good. He had some funny moments.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Tony was saying, his character being able to do what he did it felt out of place. It felt too much.
And you're right. The character itself was funny. It was one of the few things that did make me smile through the movie. But
yeah, I'll give him that. I'll give him that for sure. Like, I'm not just going to hate on the guy to hate on him. what he was there for, he did an okay job, you know. But character wise, how they wrote it and this fire powered thing was odd.
Well, to be fair, we did have Louis Tully when Vince Clortho demonically possessed him, and he could like shoot lightning bolts and use telekinesis.
But hold on, he was possessed. He was possessed by this Carpathian demon.
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
That made sense. Kamal's character, he's not possessed by anything. He has
just control fire.
He has.
God.
He has like.
So instead of magic Negroes, we have the magic Pajit.
Well, like one thing I thought watching the movie, because they were talking about objects that were possessed earlier in the movie. That's what Dan Aykroyd does, you know. So when he was first trying to control the fire through the candle or whatever, and he looked down at the old like firekeeper armor or whatever, I thought I thought it was maybe possessed by which allowed you to, but it wasn't. He just can control fucking fire.
Yeah, and see, and see, Tony, you and I are on the same page.
Wait a minute, I'm kind of confused here. So, did you guys watch Ghostbusters, or did you watch a new Street Fighter movie? Yoga Fire.
Yeah.
You have too much spicy curry.
Thankfully, nothing stretched. But see, Tony and I think we're on the same page because I thought the same thing. Okay, was the power going to be in that armor? Because they established that in the beginning of the film. That person who's kind of safeguarding or holding the stupid thing. Maybe it's that. Maybe that extra energy and that power, whatever. Okay, it's straight through him. He's waving his hand or he's getting angry. And you're seeing a flame move.
Yeah,
that's so stupid. They got superheroes in their freaking film. Like, that's not Ghostbusters. Like, none of this is Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters is a comedy about a bunch of schmucks from college.
And again, if you had someone in there, again, let's say it was Ivan Reitman, if he was still alive, he could have came in and been like, okay, we need to change these elements in the script. And certain things that could have been changed, they were easy fixes because it was already there. Like, they pre-established it. Like, okay, the armor. There's your what's the word I was looking for? Your not your monkey wrench. Your
MacGuffin.
MacGuffin, yeah. There's if you have to have that element in there, fine. Throw it to the armor. Make it make a little bit more sense than just here's fire. What?
So instead of that, you wound up getting a McClunky moment.
Yeah.
Should have touched Grandma's ball.
I think it's like the story I said the other day of Jonathan Rhys-Davies when he's like, and I bent over and I began to fill my britches. I soiled myself.
Can I point out something else too? And it's not Ghostbusters specific, and it's something I've complained about before. Like, since Baby Groot, every franchise has to have. You've got Baby Groot, you've got Baby Yoda, you've got the twig thing from Fantastic Beasts, and you've got the fucking mini Stay Puft Marshmallow Man in Ghostbusters, and it's not that funny, but all these franchises have to have this, like, adorable, cute, cuddly character.
Marketing.
Yeah.
Well, you know, at least with the last Ghostbusters, though, it did slightly make sense, Tony, because they do have.
It doesn't make sense here.
Well, they have those mini marshmallows, They have mini marshmallows. So, I mean, that's what they were using to promote, kind of in a way.
But
here's the thing, though.
The Gozerian is dead. They should not be around.
Not only that, but like the whole point of the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man was that it was a giant fat fucking retard leveling the city because stupid Ray was too dumb to clear his mind, and he thought of a Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Like, it would, like, honestly, this movie could have gone the original movie could have gone either way, because in one of the earlier scripts, it was a hot naked lady.
Yeah.
And that would have been just as fucking funny as it was like, oh my god, the city's going to be destroyed, and it's a giant freaking double.
Yeah, Attack of the 50-Foot
Woman. Yeah. But Chris Reitman had one of those crystal ball things, and he was looking into the future. And Stay Puft Marshmallow Man signifies your typical blue-haired land whale. Why do you think it had a blue hat?
But like they shouldn't have been in Afterlife either, because that's not like Ray isn't there. Like, that isn't there to choose the form of the destructor anymore. Like that whole
Yeah.
scenario ended at the end of the first movie. So
right.
it could have been something else. And it
Well,
makes
that's
zero
what I'm
sense
saying
in this
though.
film.
But
Uh-huh.
it makes sense because of the marketing. The marketing.
The
Because they
marketing,
were they were in freaking some kind of marketing thing with that freaking marshmallow company. I forget the name of it. That was
yeah,
doing
but
the mini
Stay
marshmallow.
Puft
There was a
marshmallows
huge
aren't a
push.
real marshmallow. Like,
Right.
there's no such thing as Stay Puft.
but you understand that's what they did. They were using marketing money to help
Yeah,
get
but
this buzz started
to the
filming, spot 'em
audience,
in.
to the audience outside of the business, they don't give a shit. Like,
Yeah.
story wise,
Well,
this makes zero sense.
Well, here's the thing, and Afterlife, I wouldn't say it's complete zero sense, because it is the same villain from the first movie, Gozar, and it could have been just because of the possession and shit that's going on in that place, and it's bringing other stuff because it was making other ghosts and shit or pulling them out. Okay, you have that brand there, and it just starts to it remembers the Stay Puft thing from their original encounter with the Ghostbusters. Like for me, at least, there's a little bit of sense there.
Yeah. You can get me on that, but there is zero sense in this movie.
I agree, because Gozar is put to rest, so
Yeah.
they should have been all popped or melted, whatever the hell you want to burn them in that original movie and be done with them. You don't need them.
They were a roach infestation in this movie. Like they were
Basically.
everywhere.
Yeah,
everywhere.
Yeah, it was stupid, and it stayed with that. It stayed mostly with podcasts, so it's like what? I don't understand it. What's the thing with Asians and marshmallows? What were they trying to say there? Right? It felt like they were trying to say something. I don't know. It's weird. Hollywood, what were you trying to do? I think that's racist. Anyway, getting back to the film, where the hell were we? So we established the stuff with the family and kind of what's going on. But okay, so Kamal's character, he shows up at Ray's place and he basically is trying to sell him a box of items. And inside this box is this brass ball that Ray's like, this is interesting, and he sees like the writing on it, and it's it's older than Sumerian, and he's trying to figure out what the hell it is, and he asked permission to take out his PK reader and read it, and they had some funny dialogue there. And as he does, it's off the charts. It destroys the PK meter. And starts. It felt a little bit of an earthquake. Something was going on there, and like you see, like the ice that's kind of shooting across the Manhattan to where the firehouse is, and there's like a burst in the wall or something, and it's like it's trying. The energy's trying to get to the containment unit essentially, and it's kind of like it's starting something here. Like they're giving you like these little sparks of shit. And Kamali, you can tell he's just like there's some scumbag who's selling his family heirlooms or whatever the hell. Like he's some kind of internet guy. Like he's like he used to sell shit on eBay or whatnot. He gets his money and kind of splits, and later he'll pop up again. But they're trying to figure it out. They eventually end up taking that ball to Winston's new digs, and there's a new process that they kind of show the family the update, because once that crack happens, they go and take a look at the containment unit and they call up Janine, and she's like, what the hell's going on here? She looks at it and goes, okay, I got to call Winston, and there's stuff you need to see or we need to talk about or whatever. And that's how they connect them a little bit more. What's up, Sim? Good seeing you, buddy.
Sim?
Hey,
you know what? An RR, if they had something like that in that movie, I don't care what these guys say. I would fight them tooth and nail and say this is the best movie ever if they had guinea pig animal crackers come to life and start nibbling toes. I would have fought these guys fur and tooth the whole way.
Dude, come on. I mean, you gotta admit, wouldn't it be fucking hilarious if there was like like in an alternate reality Ghostbusters where choose the form of your destructor, instead of it being a giant Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, it was a giant confused skinny pig. Just like toppling a toy city.
Oh, it'd be great.
Dude.
When they have like their zoomies and you see just like leveling the city.
Yep. Just buildings crumbling, skyscrapers falling over, and
leaving giant jelly beans.
Yeah, nobody shits on a church in my town.
Oh shit. So on top of it, they kind of show you this new process of, So the items that Ray is getting from people, he takes now to this new facility, and they found a way to kind of extract the possessed items. They could pull the ghost out of them, and there's a whole process. They put them in like, this machine. It pulls them out and then sucks them into another unit where then they could put them into like the trap and then put it into the bigger containment unit. Okay, so you establish how you depossess an item or whatever. Mm-hmm. Okay, you put that there. So now you think that's going to happen with this item. In the meantime, the family's still doing some jobs and the girl can't go. And now you have Paul Rudd trying to be somewhat of a surrogate father, but he's too nice. And he's like, I could be mean. And, you know, like he has his little moments, his funny moments. But there is a part where he does he gets more parent-like. It makes sense to the story and to the character. I'm fine with that. And kind of like, he's still respected by the kids. You can still tell, like, you know, he's not like just like a dick or anything. They still like him. But in the process, again, the family goes on a run, and the girl, she's by herself. So she grabs her chessboard. She goes down to Central Park, which here's another major writing flaw. New York has not been safe like that for the longest time. A little girl by herself would not be in Central Park. Sorry.
Oh, God, no.
That took me out of the story as well. And my friend too, he's like, yeah, that's that. That was his biggest gripe. And he normally loves fucking everything. He's like, yeah, like that's bullshit right there. And no one alone in Central Park at night, let alone a little girl.
Again, the story elements are there. They just had to put them together. All they had to do was announce President Z was coming to New York to visit, and the clean city would have made sense.
But oh my God, yeah. And then so she sets up the chessboard. She starts to move it. She's gonna grab the other side and play the other side too, and it starts moving by itself. And like, oh my God, is it her granddad?
The ghost of Anne Heche.
It's the ghost of Anne Heche, but they made her younger. And did she look like like a blonde Christina Ricci or something? I don't know. She had that vibe to me.
She did. I had to look up the actress because she did. She definitely had Christina Ricci vibes.
Yeah. So they got Christina Ricci from the original Addams Family, and they bleached her hair. So that's the ghost version that you see her sitting there, and she's being like a wise ass. She's apparently 16 as well or something. And she's got like a slight flame around her body. And like they're having like a discussion and they're kind of bonding. And it was like, okay, this is cringe. And like that whole thing was even that, if you wanted to do that better and have her have almost like a ghost kind of imaginary friend thing because she's so artistic, like you could have made sense. But no, they went the creepy Hollywood route as well. And later you see more of that. But and again, lesbians. There's elements there where they could have just pivoted in the right direction and they just wanted to do their dumb shit. And that's the gripe I have with most of the movie, because there's shit that you want to see these characters, you want to see them grow, you want to see more story behind them, and they just kept dropping the ball, and that's what pissed me off with it.
Well, I didn't catch obviously the beginning. And another one of those moments where I was I passed the hell out and woke up late, and I was like, oh shit, are they having a stream? My question is, they made it seem like this was going to be a little bit more, I guess you would say, horror than comedy. What was this more horror, or was it just more slapstick comedy again?
Well, it wasn't funny. And all the scary parts were at the very beginning.
Yeah. I was gonna. It's like literally an hour and a half of exposition, and then at the end, like Vinny said, you get a badass villain, but he really doesn't show up, till the third act or last 30 minutes of the movie or so.
His presence is there. He's got the power to control other ghosts, and there's some things that ends up happening. Odd things, and kind of like, because it uses its freezing ability thing there, and like it temporarily freezes certain shit where there's a part where you think, like, again, the badass ghost that's behind this containment unit thing was going to come out. He's partially out, and the power goes back on, and he gets pulled right back in right away. It's like there's shit like they wasted it. You could have had bigger moments, and it felt like someone chopped up the script too, because there's even
studio meddling.
There's some of the promo shit too, where you see the family on the whole family is on the roof of the firehouse, and that doesn't happen in the film. There's only 2 people that happen to be on the roof.
Oh,
Well,
man.
I can tell you something else. Related but unrelated to actually watching this movie. So one of the things I did notice when I went out to the toy aisle, like after Mario dropped, everybody was kind of worried about what was going to happen with that movie. And after that movie dropped, almost every damn toy in the toy aisles cleared the hell out within the day of it dropping. And I did notice when I looked in there were still tons of Ghostbusters shit just sitting on the wall still that was still there. I mean, granted, most of it hasn't been restocked because of the problems that all these companies have for Hasbro now. But what was there before is still sitting there and it still hasn't moved. So, I think this movie didn't resonate with a whole lot of people, it seems.
Yeah, I think they anticipated it because the figures that they made are the cheaper figures. They didn't do the Hasbro kind of Star Wars or
but
like they did with the previous lines.
That doesn't matter though, Vinny. And the reason I say it doesn't matter is because the real Ghostbusters, they didn't add anything extra. I mean, it's the same really terrible articulation we remember from the the late 80s. Yeah, there's no real articulation in those things, and those things still sell out like crazy.
Oh, I agree. No. My point was, I think they anticipated that this movie was not going to do as well, and the merchandise was not going to do as well as the previous ones, because the previous ones, they had the box figures with the Build-A-Wave figure in there. They had at least knee joints and elbow joints. Like, there was more posability, and especially with like the original movie that they released first with the main cast, and you build like the demon dogs or whatever. Like, it made sense what they were doing, and then they kind of peppered in, or the second series, they did the characters from Afterlife, and at first they didn't sell, then they kind of sold, but they didn't overshoot their wad, so to speak, on it. And this time around, I think they knew that they could not step it up and do these more expensive figures. They went with cheaper figures, so they go, if it does well, yeah, it's more of a cartoony style, it'll probably do okay, and if it doesn't, well, Ollie's is going to be the store that's going to try to get rid of them. That's what it felt like. But anyway, getting back to the film itself. Again, there's moments, there's shit that they could have fixed and they didn't, and we got an odd storyline. And so essentially, this dead ghost girl or whatever. There's a moment where you find out it's like, okay, so is this just like an imaginary friend type deal? It's we know she's a ghost, but is she just befriending her because she's just this odd girl? No, you find out she has motives, and she's being sort of controlled by the Frost demon. Yeah, Karaka. She's kind of being controlled by him. Like it promised her to send it to the other plane or whatever to see her family or whatever, because apparently her whole family died in this tenement fire that she may or may not have been the cause of, or some kind of accident. She's tethered to an item that obviously gets used later in the film, because that's what they do with most of these ghosts. You know, especially anyone who's ever watched like Supernatural, they're tied to an item, right? And you hear it in a bunch of other ghost stories. Yeah. So I mean, like there's a specific thing that ends up being used later in the film, but so yeah, and apparently they need Phoebe to. Because she's the most, I guess, with that bonding experience that, again, this is like piss poor writing, where they use her eventually to help with this demon thing. So before we get to that part, they're trying to figure out more about this ball, because as they here's the thing too, a character that did not need to be in this film whatsoever and was completely out of place. The black girl from the first
Lucky
from Afterlife. Yeah. And boy, did she look different.
She had like, what was with their bird turd dreads? She had like those Whoopi Goldberg, like looked like Whoopi, like it was like, but what the hell they do to her?
Yeah, they look like
she was hot in the first one.
Yeah, I don't know what. And she looked younger.
Maybe she had the foreskin treatment. That's why the braids changed.
Is that why podcast wasn't in any scenes with her?
But again, it made no sense why she was there. The father would not have let her go to New York with them. There's no way.
What parent would allow that?
Yeah. Sorry.
Well, can you say that for certain, considering today's parenting role models?
But again, in the
Oh,
last
yeah.
film, he was a major hard ass. He was a sheriff who fucking hated them. He would
Yep.
not have sent his daughter to New York. Sorry, he would not have done that. So right there too, like, sorry, it doesn't make any sense. If you wanted to have her in the film, you could be. It's summertime, and she wanted to go be with her boyfriend. You know, this kid, whatever.
And it
there
was
you go.
summertime, so yeah.
And there you go. She's there for the summer to hang out with her boyfriend. You know, that would have been more plausible than she's working with Winston's unit, ghost busting, experimenting with these new items. What? That doesn't make any sense.
I tell you what, RR's comment makes complete sense. So I promise to send you to see President Sippy Cup so he could sniff your hair.
Is that what all that white stuff was in her hair?
We can have a moment later if you want the president to say the darndest things. We have another good one later if you want it. Just let me know, folks. But we'll probably wait until I'm off of YouTube. But yeah, so it's stupid that she's there. But her and this new British Egon character, whatever, they're taking possessed items and they're trying to take the ghost out of them. They're doing work. And in the process, there is one of these other ghosts that they are studying in one of these other kind of plexiglass sealed off thing that's got, you know, their parameters on it so it can't break out. And it's like a spirit that possesses any item instantly. Like it keeps jumping, pop, 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 pop all over the place. And, you know, it's in a vacuum cleaner, it's in a chair, it can do anything it wants.
So it's kind of like crabs.
Is that
Bed bugs?
Listen, I don't know what you went through, Tommy, but I know the 80s were rough.
I mean, I used to live in Trenton. I've seen some horrific things there, buddy.
That's true. Yeah, Jersey.
As long as it doesn't jump into the mom's sex toys, you know.
The haunted dildo.
I think the mom would have enjoyed that.
Yeah.
But anyway, again, it has to do with that mop handle I would have put in her hand if I had time. Anyway, going back to the story. So it's I don't know if it almost feels like it's warning them not to mess with that ball, and it's like it jumped into a chair and it was tapping on the glass, and apparently the guy kind of he's sort of friendly with it, the Egon one, and he's like, oh, I'll throw you a tennis ball later. Right now we're working, you know that, and so they're taking the ghost out of the items, and the black girl grabs the brass ball, she puts it in the thing, and the machine is not working. It's overpowering. It basically burns out, and their generators, everything goes down. And you see the containment units that have, again, that ghost that kind of jumps all around, and the one beside it that has a really nasty looking demon with sharp teeth and everything in it. He starts to come out of it. And the guy's like, the generator should be kicking in. The black girl's is shitting her pants. And then eventually the light starts to flicker, and it does. And then the demon one gets pulled back in. But the little bouncy guy, he broke the glass with the chair a little bit. It's partially cracked.
I'm kind of curious though, Vinny. Did nobody bother calling out the racial appropriation stuff in this? I mean, she's not Asian at all, right? The black girl?
No.
Nope.
Oh, why she got the Benoit balls, the brass balls? Why? Why?
She's from Kumal.
Well, Ray says it's a bocce ball. And it's the size of a bocce ball. And he's not wrong.
What is she doing with Chris Benoit's balls? What? Wait, what?
Uh-oh.
There was a ghost voice that said the dog is in the garage.
Isn't that what those
Dog
things
is in the garage.
She's got Benoit balls. She's pulling that out of her. Never mind. Listen. So the nerdy guy, he goes to grab the brass thing and take it out of the unit and put it back on the shelf or whatever, and his hand starts to freeze to it, and it does drop out of his hand, and when it does, it's like a cinder block, like it breaks the floor. It's like so heavy. And like you see that he's in a sling in the next scene. Like his hand should have been completely frozen and broken off. I mean, the way that but anyway, so he doesn't lose his hand. But yeah, other shit's going on, and they want to now figure out where the hell this ball came from, and they get Ray to go investigate.
Well, wait a minute. Should his hand have been frozen off? From what I gathered just from the trailer, that ice and everything like that's supposed to be a manifestation of fear. So unless he was afraid, wouldn't he have been okay?
Well, it's the power of that demon. It also does summon ice and shit. So it's a little bit of both. Like the more afraid you are, yeah, it'll be even more deadly to you apparently, or some shit. But I mean, and trust me, well, they had fear because that's why he went to go. He opened up the containment unit as quick as he could to grab it and get it out of there. And his hand kind of like froze to it. But much like the firefighters in the opening when they went to push the door open, something along those lines. But anyway, Ray podcast and the little girl, they decide to try to find out where this kind of to get more knowledge on it. And the other side of it was the black girl, Wolf, Finn Hard, whatever his name is, Finn Wolfhard. Him and the Egon guy, they go to Kamel's door. So those three over there, and the other three, they go to the public library, the New York Manhattan Library there, where you can see the line back there. But the three that go to the apartment to go talk to the Indian dude, they find out kind of that it was from his grandmother's personal stash. He's selling other shit, and they open the door or whatever, and there's like a secret back room that you push it open, and it almost looks like a sex dungeon / museum-ish kind of room, but all the walls are all brass, and in the middle of it is a pedestal that had this brass ball. So when they cut back to Ray podcast and Phoebe in New York, they go to talk to somebody in there, which happens to be Patton Oswalt's shitty character, and there's a recording that they had picked up, and they didn't realize it until later. Like the podcast found out, he's like, it's some other language, and they went to go try to decipher what this language is, and Patton's character, he doesn't understand it, but he knows it's older than, again, Sumerian or some other shit. So they go down into the basement of the library, and there's a lot of exposition that he gives, which again, he has way too much knowledge of this too easily, and that's another thing that bothered me. I felt like they're just hand feeding the audience, because it's like, audience, you're stupid, and you're just going to accept this.
How does he know it's much older than Babylonian or whatever if he didn't know what the language was?
Yeah, I think like the carvings or something on the brass ball, because it's a video and the audio.
Babylonian was cuneiform, which is the oldest recorded language.
Mm-hmm. Dude,
there isn't anything older than that.
I didn't write this shit; they did, and you can tell the problems. So anyway. So this creep knows too much about it, and it's like you just accept it, like you accept the family that just they're Ghostbusters out of nowhere. So in the basement they do have a cool little montage of kind of, they give the backstory of your main villain and kind of how he got in there, and apparently there was there's like these protectors who basically they use brass and fire, almost like Ghostbusters with their packs, that they sealed this demon in this brass containment unit thing. Ball. But apparently they had the ability to control fire, and they could have done it in any other fucking way. They could have made it make more sense, and they did not. So it's
the Fire Nation came.
Magic powers and
taking more away from the white people,
right?
And giving it to other.
But they ripped off its horn, so it lost a lot of its power, and then they put it in there because some king was used. He was in partnership with this demon to kind of overthrow everything, and then he got power hungry, and he thought that the demon was going to really betray him and all this other dumb shit. So he basically he fucking summoned them.
Dude, RR makes a really good point. Where the fuck was the Tobin spirit guide out of all this?
Oh yeah. There's so much shit that again, it feels like they didn't know what Ghostbusters were, and it's like, we're gonna come up with our own thing. So retarded.
Damn.
And you have Dan Aykroyd, who's into all this shit.
Yep.
He wrote the video game. He wrote the original script that there was supposed to be part 3 before Harold Ramis passed away, and Bill Murray was being a dick and fighting with them and all this other shit, and he had some kind of personal grudge, the two of them. I'm happy they sorted it out before Harold Ramis died, but we were deprived the proper film we should have gotten. Thankfully, put it in sort of like in the video game format, which worked, and it's a good story. But it sucks, man. it sucks. But yeah, that game was essentially the third movie. But anyway, you had Dan Aykroyd. You could have really made this thing make sense. You could have done so many other things to make it work and make it scarier. Nope, they went with this family-friendly, dumbed down to the audience bullshit. Surrogate family. I don't know. So many things.
When I think of Indian, like ancient Indian, Hindu, and mythology, I totally think of ice and Frozen. Like you got Dan Aykroyd who made Gozer. Like the guy literally researched shit from like Mesopotamia, early Sumeria, all that shit. Like. And made it sound believable. Like any like archaeologist nerd would be like, "Oh my god, is this legit? Is this real?" Because that sounds like somebody who knew what they were talking about. And you can see where he grabbed it all. I don't like Garako. Just sounds like somebody watched Mortal Kombat 2 and went, "Who's the dude with the claw arms? Yeah, let's make a villain like that, but it's all ice and scary shit."
Yeah,
that's not. Yeah,
that's not how any of this works. But like I said, I didn't want to just dunk on this movie, but the more you talk about it, the more it's like, this was stupid.
I'm sorry.
I'll say one thing. It was pretty. They did it again, cinematography. There's a lot of cool looking things in it. There's some really cool visuals too that they put in it. They gave you throwbacks to a lot of shit, but those are the elements to kind of be nostalgia bait. But and again, we're giving you a fair view of what this movie is. So if you what to expect and what not to expect. Make sure your expectations are low. Maybe bring a bottle with you. I'm just saying.
Maybe bring a good friend and a popcorn bucket, extra large.
Put a hole in the bottom.
I heard a lot of them were getting that Dune bucket and going in to see Ghostbusters. It was weird.
There was that one scene at the end where Bill Murray opens up the drawer and he goes, "Anybody else want some courage?" And he holds up the whiskey.
Oh, no. It was better than that. It was a secret panel that he knew about. He hit it on the wall and opened it up. And like, I get Bill Murray scenes were cool. Dan Aykroyd scenes were good. What's his name? Winston. He's still shiny. He did a good enough job. Janine felt like, I don't want to say completely out of place. At the end, yes. To have her in there, if you just wanted her in there, almost like she's sort of like a landlord-ish type thing too. Okay, but Winston owns the fucking building. Anyway, but she was unnecessary. They could have put Dan. I'm sorry.
Rick Moranis.
Rick Moranis. He could have been in this movie. You could have had better moments, funnier moments.
And it would have made more sense too, just by the way he was, because he was like an accountant or something in the first one.
Yeah.
Yep.
But the second one, he feels like a badass Ghostbuster, and they could have trained him. Like there's other shit you could have put in there story wise that would have made sense. That could have worked. But anyway, so as they're kind of going over, hearing the history of this demon thing, Patton Oswalt, he tells the story of, again, these rich elite assholes who had this dinner party thing, basically the opening of the movie. And the recording that was there, the recording was actually kept, like, because they're on like this kind of black cylinder thing, and you slide it on onto the
wax cylinders.
Yeah, so they had that, and he goes, "You'll probably be interested in this because apparently they need a human voice or a live voice to repeat these things to summon him or some shit like that." And as they're showing that, the little the spirit that jumps and possesses things, it tagged along with them, and it jumps into it, and it's trying to get away, and it jumps into the cylinder thing, and then throws itself into a garbage can, and then the whole garbage can, the bag, comes alive, and it's running out of the library, and they're chasing it. And as they go to chase it, you get to another floor, and you see the ghost that in the original movie that goes shh.
Yeah,
and
Eleanor.
They run past it, and Ray's behind, and he stops and he looks and he's like, "Oh shit!" And it's already like a demon form kind of chasing him. So like they have you little moments there, but they run outside, and he's got like a motorcycle setup thing, and it's got all special gadgets and shit on it, and they're trying to find where the ghost is. The garbage on the floor. and then they find one that's right by the lion in between its paws. And Ray spotted that one. So the kids are going through the garbage on one side, and him and Patton Oswalt are right in front of the damn statue. And he's like, give me a boost so I can grab it. And as he's reaching to go grab the bag, the lion comes to life. It possessed the lion. And that was a cool visual. And you see it get up and it jumps off. And like that looked badass. And as it's like ready to attack them, he's screaming, go to the bike. And he's got switches. He hits it. And the side compartment opens up. And there's one of the proton, like a little makeshift proton pack there. And the girl grabs it. And she goes to shoot at the lion. The tail comes off. It gets the attention. So he turns around. And it's ready to jump on her. And her thing ain't working anymore. And they're trying to get another boost or another bit of juice to come out of it. As the cops are pulling up. And as the cops are pulling up, Podcast is hitting the switches. It jumps in the air. And for some reason, none of the cops see this. None of the people who are all there seeing this thing come to life, they don't seem to say anything either. And as it jumps in the air, ready to squash her and Podcast in the bike, she shoots it and it explodes, and a piece of it hits the cop car, and it's all over the place. Next scene you see, they're at the police station, and the mayor's all, thank you. You did me a favor, and now I'm going to shut everything down. You destroyed public property and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, so nobody there was an eyewitness. The cops didn't see this. This is all like, accept it because you're a retarded audience. You need to accept it.
Have you not met people on Twitter, Vinny? This is completely plausible.
It's for the right audience, at least.
You are right. What's up, Scott? Yeah, actually, Rick, he did come out of retirement for a little bit, and then some idiot hit him in the face. He did a commercial and 2 other things, I think, and that was about it. They could have easily put him in here.
I tell you what, after hearing what all you guys have said so far, I'm so glad that I was not in any kind of rush to go see this thing, and I probably have no interest in going to see it now. I'll wait for it to pop up on a streaming service before I even bother taking a look. But
yeah,
this makes me stand by my original decision. I said I'm just going to wait until Godzilla Kong comes out, and I'll go see that.
Yeah,
and,
Howard Love Kong. Yeah,
yeah. You know what though? It does have that buddy cop feel, and I've seen a lot of people complaining about that. All those people that complain about that, let me tell you shit. Guess what? You motherfuckers were never Godzilla fans to begin with,
because they teamed up back in the day.
Yeah, like how many freaking different kaiju did he team up with back in the day?
Yeah,
quite a few of them.
Yeah.
So don't act like this has never happened before, because it has.
Yeah, and don't forget,
him flying around off his tail with his freaking breath. You're gonna tell me you're worried about Godzilla having a freaking Nintendo Power Glove? Like, really? That's what you're worried about?
And don't forget too, and Tommy could probably back me up on this one. Godzilla even had a son that died in one of the movies.
Yeah. I believe that the original one, it died. I thought.
There was a mini Godzilla that got killed.
Minerva, Minerva? No,
I don't remember the name, but yeah, I mean, there's stuff that was there, but anyway, like we'll probably get into that one next week when we do see it or whatever. Because I think it comes out next Friday. But anyway, going back to this film, I mean, like I said, there's moments that just make zero fucking sense. But again, they want to close down the firehouse. They already confiscated the proton packs. He wants to tear down brick by brick, blah, blah, blah. And essentially they go back to the firehouse to get what they could. It looks like they're going to squat in there for the night and then probably go to Winston's new digs or some shit. I don't fucking know. Like they don't really explain it. But in the process, the little girl, she feels like this is all her fault. She cursed out the mayor too. They try to recreate the scene when she curses out the cop, but we don't see it. It's like, choose your next words wisely. Like they had that joke twice in this fucking movie. And apparently she said some vulgar shit, told the mayor to go fuck himself. But, which again would have been funnier to actually see. So she's basically like walking the street and she runs into the girl ghost again. There was another scene too that's kind of irrelevant, but when the family was out and Podcast and her teamed up because they had a phone call and she could have gotten that girl. She was sitting at the diner. And the name of the diner was Melody, her name. So was haunting this place. And she doesn't. Instead, she caused more destruction or whatever, but it doesn't really matter. She hid her proton pack, was just kind of, they had a scene like that. But she had invited her into the place. You could see that the girl, she had nefarious plans, and she's reaching out to the containment unit, and then their dialogue goes elsewhere, and then she leaves. But fast forward back to the scene towards the end where they're kind of together, and you could see, like, again, this ghost girl has another agenda, and she's toying with Phoebe's character, and they're talking about it's too bad we're on a different plane of existence. And there was moments that happened in the movie where her and Ray have a conversation about, would you ever, like, have you ever thought about being a ghost or to get to the other side like that? And he's like, oh, I dreamt about it all the time. And they kind of, like, they lead you where they're going to go. Again, they keep hand feeding the audience too. And it's a stupid moment. So she goes back to the new place that's like in this the SeaWorld type place, whatever, where that machine that extracts the spirit out of haunted items. Phoebe decides to play with it and goes, I think we could be in the same plane of existence at least for 2 minutes with my knowledge, because I'm a nerd and blah, blah, blah. And she hits all the buttons. She walks herself into this containment unit thing. Yeah. And she basically, she offs herself for a lesbian girlfriend. This was the stupidest thing. Are you kidding me?
Something else that's a little too fantastical for Ghostbusters. Like, it reminds me of the later seasons of Family Matters and all of Steve Urkel's wacky inventions, like being able to separate your soul from your body. It's like, it's weird.
But they made Phoebe so unlikable that anything that happened to her, like, okay, I don't care.
That's like, well, okay.
Yeah.
Is she gonna pour gasoline on herself and set herself on fire and do a protest in front of it? Never mind. Because if it happened, I wouldn't have cared. But so yeah, her body falls down, her soul gets pulled into the other thing. But instead of the other ghost that gets trapped into this other containment unit, she could phase through it. Apparently, like, again, they don't even make logic out of the things that they established earlier in the film.
Rules. Yeah.
They make up their own rules. So as she's like, hey, you, boo. And, like, she wants to, like, they insinuate it. It didn't get as far as to, like, she's leaning in for a kiss. They didn't get to that point. But you could see it's like, hey, look, we're on the same plane of existence now. And as she's talking, the other girl, the Christina Ricci looking one, goes, I'm sorry. She's like, what do you? And then all of a sudden, Phoebe's eyes glow another color, and she starts speaking this foreign tongue. And she goes, I'm sorry, but he needed a live vessel to recite this, to basically break the curse to get him out of the brass ball. And you see the body of Phoebe that's inside the other containment unit saying this Sumerian thing, mimicking the ghost version of her, as the ghost version of her's eyes are, like, all lit up. And she keeps doing this chant over and over and over.
Yeah, but Vinny, it makes sense. It makes sense.
Sure, it does.
Godzillionaire. To be honest, is there anything dumber on this planet than a teenage girl?
Gay frogs.
As a guy with 6 daughters, no, there's nothing dumber on this planet than a teenage girl.
I beg to differ. Gay frogs.
Well, okay, maybe there's a few things dumber on this planet than a teenage girl. They're in the top 3 for sure.
Holy shit.
Democrat voters.
Hey, what's up, Lurch? What's up, Lurch?
Hey,
Man,
Lurch.
good to see you.
Hey,
Yeah, I think Godzillionaire and Brutal, and the RR, Ghost Scissoring, they definitely wanted it.
Yeah.
Well, that's typical, like, Hollywood doing Hollywood. Like, let's sexify this child or this like young teen. Like,
and that's the other thing that bothered me in a massive way. If you wanted to have her have, like, another kind of ghost friend or some shit, again, something that you kind of sort of did in the previous movie, but you found out it was a grandfather. If that's the only person she could connect with because she has autism, okay. Like, there are certain things I would accept because of who the character is. Nope. It's this. She went from autistic girl to slightly autistic with emo type tendencies and I hate my mother type. She's like, what?
So Vinny, let me ask you this though. So she got drilled into this different plane of reality, right? And going in for the girl, looking for a little ghost scissoring and everything. Would it have made more sense to you if they had a ghostly version of Tom Hanks saying "sexy baby"?
Well, what's sad is like, what's sad is like Phoebe would have been your perfect replacement for Egon. And it would have been a great kind of representation of people that are really far on the spectrum that are still functioning.
Yeah.
Like the whole, like Janine was like putting off the my vag is dripping vibes to Egon in the first film. Right. And she's like, trying to flirt with him. And he's like, I collect spores, moles, and fungus. I once tried to drill a hole through my head when I was a child, but and all this stupid shit. And that was what made it both funny and tragic, is that you knew that Egon would never fully embrace humanity because he was so on the spectrum that he's too weird,
Yeah.
And that would have made a great, like counterpart to Phoebe. And that's why I liked her relationship with Podcast, because Podcast is like, okay, I'll, you let your freak flag fly, I'll hang out with you still, you're pretty cool. But no, they turn her into this like emo bitch. Like,
because their dynamic was a little bizarre in this one too. When her and Podcast do kind of, when they did the library scene together, it's like it's missing something. Like you missed the magic that worked in the previous movie. But going back for a second too, story wise, for Egon to be that much on the spectrum and everything else, and how he is, it doesn't make any sense. Who's the mother to her? It shouldn't have been Janine. Like, you could have made this make more sense from the start. I don't know. It feels like they kept, I don't know. There was problems, or maybe they had something else planned and then they threw it out the window and they're like, oh, it doesn't really matter. Like I hate when they do that. If you're gonna start to come up with this shit, and it's supposed to be a family of the Spanglers because they mentioned that a bunch of times, shouldn't you get more into, again? Well, who the hell is her mother? How you're missing stuff?
Yeah, fathers can't give birth.
Yeah. All they had to do was give you a hint that that Janine could have been the mother by somebody asking her a question. She turn around, what do you want?
Yeah.
I don't know. There are definitely problems, but speaking of problems, so the girl, this is her fault. The demon gets out. He breaks out of his containment unit thing there, or his breast ball essentially, and he starts to already freeze stuff. And as he's getting out, the black girl again, because plot, she just mysteriously pops up and she starts shooting at him. And like, it's almost like she was standing there the whole time and saw everything that happened with the two girls. It's like, what? No, again, this is stupid shit. So as she goes to shoot him, his power is so strong that this nuclear reactor thing coming out of it does nothing. He freezes the beam, and the beam falls on the floor and like shatters. And then it looks like he kills her, but nope, we see her later. Like, I don't know, it's so fucking dumb. But
so Black Girl Magic versus Kylo Ren, who could freeze a laser beam midair.
Basically,
yeah.
But as that's happening, Phoebe gets back into her body. The 2 minutes goes up for some reason. I don't know how she gets resuscitated. Like, that's unexplained either. She's out of her body. She's dead. How did she get back in there? Because a clock went off and went beep, 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 beep. And she went, like, there's so many plot holes and mistakes in this fucking film. So she's behind this unit thing, and then the ghost decides to leave after semi-freezing the black girl. You'd think she should have been dead. So it leaves, and it's trying to find its horns, and how he finds the Indian guy's place to begin with, I don't know. That's not explained either. It's just he looks great. He's bringing, a storm of shit with him. His whole thing was he wants to control this army of the dead to destroy mankind for what had happened to him eons ago, or whatever the hell it was. And on his path to do that, there's like a weed shop, and it says the fireman on it or some shit. And he goes in there, and it's the guy can't see who it is who came in because he turned around. He's putting shit away, and it asks if he's the firekeeper. He's like, "Yeah, man, I'm the firekeeper." He turns around, and it freezes him to death, completely, and shatters him. And then it goes to Queens, where where Kamal's apartment is. Kamal's not there, and it's going through everything and finds its horns in that back room. And he puts his horns on. Now he's even more powerful, and that's when he's summoning again all this frozen shit. You see the scene from the beach and all that crap, and it makes its way to the firehouse. But again, and it doesn't make any sense either. From where it is, how it comes across the water like that. Like, it feels like they don't even know what the hell New York is, because the locations are incorrect, and it wouldn't have made that path across the beach. Like,
did he put his horns on and say it's horny time?
Well, we saw the trailer. Bill Murray makes that joke. Tall, dark, and horny. But and again, it's. And they use something that, like, he does pop up in a scene when they're trying to train Kamal's character. They're trying to see if he's possessed. And as they're trying to do those tests, every time he gets angry, behind them there's a Bunsen burner that keeps shooting flames in the air, and he keeps throwing pens at his head. And he's like, "What are you doing? What do you keep looking at?" And when he turns around, you see the flame that he's got some control over fire. Okay.
Yep, he's a firebender.
Yeah. So later, anyway, basically the villain he's trying to go to the firehouse. He wants to bust open the containment unit and control all the ghosts and whatnot. And in the process, like, the rest of the family meet up there. They find Phoebe, and the black girl explains kind of what happened, as if she knew everything that happened, like she watched the whole thing. Again, because they just wanted to do that. And Phoebe now at this point, she's back in mommy's arms, and her and Paul Rudd are like, she's like, "It's all my fault." She's like, no, it's like these things happen. Like, they're trying to be parents essentially, and trying to make her not off herself a second time, I guess. I don't know, unless there's some more gash that she wants. Maybe she'll do that in another film. But anyway, so they go back to the firehouse, and they're kind of preparing for the end battle with this demon. And Phoebe, from the story that they told, brass and fire are its weakness. The proton packs don't really do shit. They had to get new ones in that they were working on because the other ones got taken by the mayor. So Winston comes there with his nerd guy, his British Egon, and they have all new packs for all these for your Ghostbusters, and everyone starts to suit up. And in the process, most of Manhattan's already covered in ice. And they hear a knock at the door. Bill Murray pops up. "You need a hand?" And that's when he has his little joke with the drink. And as they're there, and then he's like, "Milnick," Janine's character. "Oh my God, you even suited up." Like, he even makes the joke of, like, "How stupid is this? Why is she suited up?" But again, she does absolutely nothing. So why was she even dressed up? Why does she have a name tag? It doesn't make any sense.
Well, again, this feels like it's more based on the cartoon than on the original movie, because Janine, there's an episode where Janine literally had to suit up and basically bail out the Ghostbusters.
Oh yeah.
Wasn't it her and Rick Moranis' character in the cartoons that did that?
I don't know if Rick Moranis was even around at that time. Like, I think this was the pre-Rick Moranis edition to the real Ghostbusters, but the action figure has a Janine Melnitz with a pink Ghostbusters outfit. So
yeah, you're right.
So there is kind of precedence for it, but unfortunately, that's only for the cartoon and not for, like, the film. And I agree. Like, it makes no sense.
Yeah. So, but again, and if it's the last stand, they're all gonna die potentially. Okay, she didn't need a name tag. If you want to just throw her in one of those fucking exterminator suits, whatever. But anyway, so she's there. The rest of them are kind of getting suited up, and they send Lucky and the kid from Stranger Things to the roof to keep an eye out. Who's coming? Who's going? They see a tricycle that's possessed. Basically, it comes towards the firehouse. They said it's creepy. They shout down, "Get off the roof! Come down!" They all come down, and it's the little ghost that jumps into everything. The possession one. It possesses the doors and blows the doors off the hinges, and then goes into Ecto 1. And it feels like all they did was a piss poor ripoff of Ash versus Evil Dead. there's an episode where they possess his car, and that was incredible. Holy shit, was that an amazing episode? Well, they do a really cheaper version of this one where all it does is go in reverse.
Oh, technically, Ash versus Evil Dead took that from another franchise as well.
Well, yeah, I mean the fucking Stephen King.
Well, even before Stephen King, the Hearse.
Which hearse? Which?
That's the name of the movie, The Hearse. It's basically the same thing as Christine. The Hearse was actually written before Christine.
Well, there you go. Well, basically, it does its own thing. But I think Ash vs. Evil Dead did it the best. If you've seen the series, holy shit, was that an awesome episode. Go check it out. But so this thing, it goes in reverse to try to hit them or kill them, and it does not do its job. And then your main villain comes through the doors and makes these ice spikes to seal them in there as it's ready to kill them. But beforehand, Phoebe took her old pack and she was playing with some of the units of it or whatever, melting shit down and trying to lace the components with brass. Maybe we'll have a fighting chance, since that's one of the weaknesses, and the regular proton packs did nothing. So yeah, and as she's the ghost girl pops up and she follows her down to the containment unit, and she's trying to have a conversation with her, like, what are you doing? Like, this was wrong. And the girl felt bad. She's like, well, this is the only way I could see my family. I didn't mean to do any of that. I apologize. And she's like, was it all fake? She goes, no, I really beat you in chess. They try to give the little funny banter, and it does not work. Nothing works. It's just, it's odd.
Was it all fake? Oh.
Yeah, it's fake. It's cringy. And the little girl, she basically, she's like, well, that's not how any of this works anyway. And he can't send you back to the other side or into the universe or however it fucking works.
Yeah, they avoid Christianity because it's Hollywood. So instead of going to heaven, you become part of the fabric of the universe.
Oh!
Exactly. That's the shit that they pull.
Do you know the original script for Ghostbusters 3 that Aykroyd and Ramis were working on was called Ghostbusters Go to Hell?
Oh, wow. Well, that's why in the game they sort of technically do.
That was hell. And they took out all reference to Christianity because of this modern anti-Christian bullshit. And I'm saying this as a Jew, dude. So, that really fucking bothers me when they do that shit.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Because she could have said it. She's like, oh, in the other movie, I saw my grandfather. His energy particles dissipated and he went to heaven. Nope, he became one with the universe. Okay. So anyway,
like Luke, he fades back into the Force like Luke and just fucking
yeah. So and again, if we could believe that ghosts could happen, but we can't believe in heaven and hell, like someone explain that one to me.
I know. Well, I hate the fact that we're dumbing things down. We're removing mythology. So here's the thing: is like, if you're gonna go with Gozer as gods and all this stuff, why can't Christianity also be incorporated into this quote unquote mythology?
Exactly. We had Carpathian fucking demons and stuff, but okay, but angels in heaven. No, we won't go near that. But we'll have some little Pakistani dude or Indian dude being able to manipulate fire.
Yeah. Can I say to you, like, this movie, very much is about science, and science got mentioned a few times, but that could be a reason why they didn't want to lean too religious on it either. But I don't know. I think science and religion go hand in hand.
If you recall, sorry to interrupt, but
no,
you remember the part in the first movie when Winston and Ray are in the Ecto-1 and they're driving, and Winston is a very religious Christian, and Ray, who is very he's never met the man, whatever, when Winston asks him if he's religious. Ray could recite the fucking Bible, Revelations, down to the specific line, okay? Because he's borderline autistic too.
Yeah.
And when Winston, they leave this, they end the scene in a very, very eerie note when Winston says, what if this is the dead rising and all this stuff? What if this is the end times? They had Christianity in fucking Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Not in 2024. They don't. So
Sorry, Tony.
yeah, yeah. Well, she's trying to speak logic to the ghost girl. Like, yeah, this demon thing, it can't bring you to where you want to be. You have to do the right thing. That's why you're trapped here or whatever. And in the meantime, the dude upstairs is basically like no one's able to do anything. They go to shoot their proton packs. It doesn't do anything. He freezes all of it. It drops to the floor. They're all shitting their pants. And he begins to put like spikes to their neck pretty much. And like they're starting to all freeze to death and they can't move. None of them are doing anything. Phoebe comes up and she goes to, now her jetpack has the brass parts to it, whatever. And it actually hurts him. And as she's shooting it, it's trying to freeze.
And it's green.
Yeah.
It's a green fucking laser thing.
Yeah, and on top of it, it's like trying to freeze the components to the front of it as it's like blowing fucking frost at it or whatever, and it's starting to shut it down. And as it's doing that, Kamel comes down there. He's wearing his grandmother's armor or whatever. He saved Wolf Finhard there, whatever the fuck his name is. Finn Wolfhard. He saved him earlier. He was able to control the possessed proton pack from frying his face. Which I'm like, what the huh? What? It was so stupid. But anyway, he's there in his grandmother's armor now, whatever. And again, I don't know how he's in his grandmother's armor. Different size people, but okay. And he's trying to have his little banter with this demon. I chuckled at his lines, but it was like, come on, this is retarded. And he can't use the lighter. He goes, ha, like he's ready to use this lighter and he can't start it. And they're like, oh, what the hell happened? You used all the fluid or the lighter fluid? And he goes, well, you guys told me to practice. And the demon grabs it out of his hand, freezes the whole thing, and just turns it into like dust essentially. So he's a fire guy who has no ability now. He's got no fire to control. It was like, oh my god.
Except
the
for Anne Heche's ghost.
Yeah, Anne Heche / Christina Ricci's ghost. The item that was tethered to her was a book of matches with one match. And as the little girl looks like she's being frozen to death, her power pack is shut down and all that. And she literally has frost all over her. That's, again, you're dead and they have that much ice on you. Okay, she's alive still. The ghost girl, she lights her one little match, and you see a thin piece of flame go all the way over to Kamel, and he's got a ball of flame like Liu Kang, and he's laughing and like, oh my god, like he can't believe it. His acting was at least somewhat decent, but it was still retarded. The whole scene's retarded, and he hits him with the fireball. The girl starts to melt a little bit. The ice melts a little bit. She starts shooting him as well, and the other one's kind of, it weakens enough where they could get free from their kind of icicles that are to their neck, and they're trying. Half of them are shooting him. The other half, the old ones, they run down to the basement, and Ray has an idea. I think I could reverse it, and because the regular trap is, they're too small and ain't doing anything. He swatted one out of the air in the middle of fighting them off. So he goes, wait a minute, we have a containment unit right here, which, mind you, is completely cracked in half. Ghosts were shooting out all over the place. Tell me, how is reversing it going to keep them trapped in there? Yeah. There's like no fucking logic. But they managed to do it. They hit the thing and then reverse it. And the three old ones, they pulled the lever. So they're the ones who saved the day. He gets pulled in. And as he gets pulled in, the floor closes behind him too. Snaps off two of his fingers. And apparently the whole broken containment unit is sealed again. How?
Oh, that's convenient.
Yeah. Fucking so retarded. And they get up to outside, and already all of Manhattan's out there applauding them. It's all a beautiful day. There's no more frost or nothing on any buildings. It's 0 cents is made. And they're automatically being praised. And the mayor gets there, and he's ready to shut them down. And the cameras are on them. and they kind of trap him in a spot where he has to say that he likes the Ghostbusters, because Winston's like, look at this little girl, she saved the day with her ingenuity, and Manhattan's saved now, and aren't you going to support the Ghostbusters? And he changes his tune on the drop of a dime because cameras are on him, like a true politician.
You know what, Vinny? There's little things here and there you guys are saying, and I keep thinking they could have did so much better. Instead of using like frost on top of the buildings, why didn't they use frost on top of the buildings? Because that would have been a lot more terrifying.
Angry lesbian.
Yeah. There's a lesbian with fucked up janky teeth on the roof.
how's this though? Like every Ghostbusters movie, okay, maybe not so much like the other stuff, but like in the movies, they always had these fantastic showdown set pieces. You know, you had the top of the hotel or whatever it was, the apartment building structure that was repurposed. You know, and the second one you had when they took out Vigo, it was inside the museum, you know, and they had the Statue of Liberty.
Yep.
Yeah, this one, it's literally in the garage of the firehouse.
Yep. Which is their most hold on, to be fair, it's their most iconic place because the rest of New York is a shithole now. So which is
like we can't film anywhere,
right? And you know what? The firehouse isn't even in Manhattan. You know where the firehouse is? California.
Yeah.
My friend filmed a movie over there.
Oh my god.
Yeah, he kind of did he did like the proper I Am Legend. He did like low budget. And anyway, he filmed the firehouse. So yeah, it's not even in New York.
Dude, that's so like honestly though, like you think of it from like just a movie like formula perspective, you know, the spectacle of seeing that final showdown against the hot bubble wrap chick at the top of the apartment complex, like the Gothic architecture, the pyramid, the gateway into the other dimension, fucking awesome. The Statue of Liberty bashing through the cocoon that was created by the mood slime in the museum, freaking awesome. This one, you're in the garage stall. Like that's why when you said, you said in the trailer, there's a scene where they're on the roof or something, like, okay, cool, we're gonna get like a rooftop showdown. Yeah. Nope.
And I think there was supposed to be one because again, even I think this right here where you see Paul Rudd holding this.
Yep.
There's another shot I think was from the trailer. I saw it somewhere. It was him, the wife, girlfriend, whatever, both kids, the black girl, and they were all wearing this red getup, and they were on the firehouse roof. That was not in this movie. So they definitely went back and they did reshoots and changed a bunch of shit. And you could feel it. You could feel it throughout this film. There's moments that feel like they make no sense and they just tack them in there to tack them in there. Right?
Yes.
Anyway, that's what it felt like. But so the end of the movie, they're all cheering on New York. The mayor's now on this side. He's forced to be. And there's another call. Some of the ghosts that have busted out. And that's when the kid from Stranger Things, he's behind the wheel, and now the mother's like, okay, be mindful. There's a lot of people here, like 10 and 10s at 10 and 2. Like what? He was driving a fucking car in the other movie.
Yeah,
ridiculous. And he's 18. He's not 16 anyway. So as they leave, and they play the music and blah blah blah. The credits roll, and then the little cutscene. And again, it makes no sense. There's like a gas station, and some guy gets out of his truck, his trailer truck, and he's going to go get food at a vending machine. And his car starts to turn on, and then it's starting to drive off, and the guy's starting to yell, "Oh my god!" And as you see the car, the thing moving, there's a bunch of the little Stay Puft guys who stole the car, and the trailer, the hitch is the Stay Puft marshmallow thing. So what are they going to try to grow another giant version of him, like combined together, or are they just going to infest the world with it's so stupid. It was like a dumb tacked on.
Well, they overplayed it, man. Like you killed the joke, and it's so dead that it's not even a ghost anymore.
Yeah. Yep. And again, they shouldn't exist because Gozar is dead. That's what it was attached to, the Stay Puft thing.
The form of the destructor that Ray chose. That's all that was. Like, honestly,
Which-
I would have preferred Tommy's giant guinea pig.
Yeah. But again, like you said, the original movie is supposed to be a naked woman. It was probably going to be Tina Turner with those big thighs back in the 80s.
Yeah.
She was going to jiggle her ass and then knock down buildings with it.
I'm a private damn.
Working
But,
every hard every night.
So there's your whole breakdown of this movie. Yeah. Pluses, there were good visuals. Minuses, the script is shit. And they messed up a lot of these characters. There's a couple of funny lines, but not much that's going to hold your interest past much of anything. There's a giant section of this movie where it just feels like, oh my God, this is just dragging on.
Yes.
This hurts, man.
Yeah.
Because after seeing Afterlife, like, I was really rooting for Phoebe. I loved podcasts. I loved the rapport that Podcast and Ray had. Like, okay, I'm like, okay, this could be a good start of something really cool. You know, Paul Rudd, dude, as far as I'm concerned, like, he's like our generation's like like go-to guy for like your comedian, actor, whatever. And I think the poor guy just keeps getting typecast.
Yeah, he does. But he was still enjoyable in here, but it's sad that they didn't give these characters enough, because you have the pieces, you have everything's right there, and it's just like the script was shit. You could have made this a good movie. You could have given us something more special that could have connected to the previous movie in a better way, and made sure that, again, Ghostbusters could have.
I was rooting for it, man.
It sounds like they took a nice big waffle cone and then took a dump in it and then dipped it in the sprinkles.
It wasn't as again, it wasn't as bad as the all-female one. I didn't see. I tried to watch that for free somewhere, and I couldn't. I tried twice. I gave up. My brother tried 4 times, and he tried 4 times. I said, 4? How? He's like, yeah. I just kept trying to get a little bit past. I fast forward. I wanted to see Bill Murray's scene. Like, it's oh my god,
dude! Look at Bill Murray in that poster. That's the soul has left that man.
Yep. Yep. He's there out of guilt because he single-handedly fucked up the 3rd movie.
Yeah,
it would have happened. Yeah, it would have happened. I mean, we got his voice at least. We have the original cast in that 3rd game. Harold Ramis was still alive, and he voiced Egon. The dialogue was fantastic. Everything they did in there was really good. I wish the mechanics were better, because I did get a little motion sickness. I didn't clear it, but my brother did, and I saw a lot of the story beats. I might go back and try to play it again, but you hit all the old spots from the movies, and they did it in a great way. Like the whole first level, you are in the original hotel.
Yeah, Sedgwick. Yep.
Oh, it's great, and you have like the Captain Ahab character.
Yeah. Sargasso. Yeah.
Oh, it was awesome. It was really cool. You fought. I did fight Stay Puft in that too. They explain how he came back, and you fight him again, and you're hanging off the fucking building, zapping him, and it was cool.
I just wish they reduced the cast. I mean, it's too big, in my opinion, for what they're. You know how you were saying, like, not enough stuff was given for every character. Dude, just pick 1 or 2 characters, and then have like the OG cast as like your supplementary, and then that's it. You know, like we're saying, like with the side stories, the subplot of what's her face, the mom, like basically weeding out Slimer out of the ghost house, like that, or I'm sorry, out of the firehouse, like that would have been freaking cool. But like the fact that they just threw all the crayons at the paper, you know, it's kind of like when you're trying to make fruit juice and you throw all the fruits together and it doesn't taste quite like fruit juice.
Yeah, that tastes like fruit punch. It's
it tastes like a mash of grossness. Like and the fact, like, I mean, I know, like, so Ghost Junk is in here, and they're saying that they like the film and stuff, and that's good. You know, I'm nobody's here to like tell you to dislike it or whatever. But like, this is just expectations that, for me personally, as an OG fan and as somebody back in like '87 watched like the cartoon, the real Ghostbusters, religiously, and I'm probably one of those few people that actually loved Ghostbusters Extreme. Like, I think that like this was a step, and again, I'm not gonna, I haven't even watched this, dude. I'm just going off of what everybody else has been saying, and I know that totally takes what I'm saying, it makes it invalid in many levels. but I know modern Hollywood,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't need to eat a turd to know it tastes like shit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And
I hopefully the next one will be better. That's all I'm saying.
Because there is potential to fix this still, but because it's not as unwatchable as like the all female cast one, whatever. Because that was completely unwatchable. I only made it, I think, 5 minutes into it. I can't, and then the second
that thing was so bad they had to rename it from Ghostbusters 2016 to Answer the Call.
Yeah.
And then they decanonized it.
Yeah, good, thank God.
Well, remember they were doing the big, we're putting all the movies together.
Yeah.
And they completely, they did not include it.
Yeah, they had to, because again, Bill Murray's character was dead in that film, from what I understood. They killed his character. So okay,
he got knocked out a window.
Yeah, great job. So I got it to a part where I think they were inside of a university, and the main professor was cursing them out, and I laughed my ass off at that scene. I did laugh at that. It was glorious how he just told them all to go fuck themselves, and that was funny. That's the one thing I'll say out of the 10 minutes I watched that movie. That was the only funny thing. If we could find a sound clip, I might use that as a sound clip somewhere.
Well, the visual where he's just flipping them off.
I think was that the same scene? I only saw that again, that moment, the one fucking time. But and Godzilla said podcast got shadow banned in this movie. Kind of. He felt like he had a couple of moments, but again, him and the black girl felt like they were kind of unnecessary. But yet, podcast still sort of made sense again because of his connection with Ray, and that he's helping him make like a YouTube channel essentially, and he's almost working as his producer for the summer. He lied to his parents or his grandparents or whoever takes care of him, and said he was at space camp. Like, some elements there, it still worked, and it was kind of funny. And you had elements that could have really worked had this script been better. Had they gave a better reason why the family was staying at the place and how they started becoming Ghostbusters. You train them. You do certain things that would make more sense. Not just that any idiot could pick up a proton pack and they know what they're doing type deal.
Well, once again, leaning back to what I said when I first popped in, all they had to do is see everything that worked in the last one and just expound upon that. Just continue what you started to do there. I mean, that's all they had to do. They had the blueprint sitting right in front of them.
They did, because all you had to do, connect those pieces. You finish with Winston being a badass. The guy's made fucking money. He's going to fix up the place, and they could be, like you said, the custodians of this. But yet, we could start to train them to be ghosts. We're going to bring ghost busting back. Because apparently we still have threats. It's not just there are elements that were right there. You could see them and reach out and grab them, and they didn't. Instead of grabbing them, they went over and grabbed the toilet paper and threw it out the window and said, "No, I'm just going to defecate right here, and I don't need anything to clean up."
So are you guys familiar with Ghost Corps?
Ghost Corps? No.
Yeah. So the idea is that they're trying to. So this might, if it was successful and it was well written. There's a line in the original Ghostbusters when Peter was basically convincing Ray about the whole, you didn't even bargain to get the loan and stuff. And he's like, the franchise rights alone will make us millions, And the idea of Ghost Corps is that there are geographically located Ghostbusters cells set up. They've developed a need for this. And you could have just focused on smaller cast in A Love Letter to Chicago, A Love Letter to Los Angeles, A Love Letter to some other city or whatever. Because the original Ghostbusters was a love letter to New York.
Yep.
All over the world.
Yeah.
Dubai, fucking whatever.
And you get three characters, and you don't have a fucking Swiss Family Robinson over here. You can focus on, a smaller handful of characters. And then you mention the OG guys, or you even make cameos of Winston because he's your financier. He's the one that starts the Ghost Corps. There you go.
Well, here's a quick question. Do you think maybe they had that idea, Chris, and that's why they brought so many people into the fold here? Because they were, if this did well enough, maybe that's what they were looking to do.
I don't know.
It could be possible Well, again, having seen the
Well,
movie,
the reason I say it also is because you know talk about the newer red suits and everything like that. It's like a whole different look. Like they would be a whole different team for.
Oh no, that's just winter coats.
yeah,
Like they have the normal suits under that. That's just they took.
Yeah, but that's
fireman's
something
jacket.
that we didn't see in the first two movies at all. So
Yeah, that's true. The second movie actually had the dark gray outfits, and it had the peace sign ghost. You know, the Ghostbusters 2 logo.
Yep.
Yeah, it's almost like, you know, each uniform or whatever changes based on the movie. But like, I just think that there were too many characters in this film, and the ones they had, they wrote them wrong. Like they were uncharacteristic of the characters that we loved in Afterlife.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, there's elements that I wanted this to be good. I really did. Like I said, there's some visuals that are right. There's some dialogue that's pretty good. There's some moments where it's okay. But again, you got to be in one of those moods where you don't really give a shit. You're not looking for anything extra. You just want some kind of dumb. Yeah, turn your brain off, watch some dumb summer movie type deal. I know a lot of people do that, but at the same time, it's like it really does insult the intelligence when it's like you could make this great, you could make this classic, you could make it connect in a proper way, and people be proud to own this. Not that it's like, okay, I'll wait for streaming, watch it once, and like, yeah, I'm good, you know, because that's what this turned into.
Just want to add this because I know we just spent like, was it like 2 hours, 15 minutes, like dumping on things. Dude, that means that we love the franchise. Like we care enough to devote 2 hours of our night to bitch about the things that we dislike, but we still love Ghostbusters.
Dude, I spent hours and hours and hours out of my time going around the different ollies just so I could try to find the rest of those Plasma series figures because I love the fucking franchise. We still have some of the old Ghostbuster toys sitting somewhere in the back. I mean, you know, it's something that it goes generational too because then it usually filters down to the younger ones who enjoyed it as well. And when you create something like that, that's an instant classic. That's something that is going to be able to be passed down to the younger generations, and then the story can continue. But if you do it really badly, and we've seen it with a lot of these companies where they take these storied franchises that could just keep going from generation to generation, bringing in new fans and creating a wider audience. When they don't take the time to fully develop stuff, they just throw all that right out the window. And then you get to the point where if you do it enough times, you start turning the fan base off and they start walking away. Like you've seen, you've seen it with Star Wars, you've seen it with Star Trek, Doctor Who, and the list goes on and on and on. And if they're not careful, they may do that with this franchise.
Well, as a screenwriter, dude, you have to ask yourself when you're writing a line down, is it funny? Or is it scary? If it's neither of those two, it's not worth writing.
And to pick up kind of where Chris was leaving off there, if I may, there's a reason why it matters. You know what I'm saying? Because this is the stuff that shapes your stone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like this is the Star Wars. You know, there is no try, do or do not. Right?
Yeah.
Rocky, it's not about how hard you can hit, it's about how hard you can get hit and keep going. You know, these are the things that
this is busted makes me feel good.
Back to fucking cuniform,
it's our culture. You know what I mean?
Right, it goes all the way back to fucking cave paintings and cuneiform, like you were talking about earlier. It's the stuff that's been shaping your stone fucking since we had thumbs.
I wanted to hear you say that. I wanted to hear it come out of Brutal Morningwood's mouth. Busted makes me feel good.
Oh, busting does make me feel good, baby.
Again, they had the pieces, and that's what was angry. And like to you guys, like what you said, to your credit, with all that, we're talking about this stuff because we do want this to survive. You have good actors, you have people that could do this.
Yep.
You know, there's a story here that could have really worked. You have elements that were there, and you missed the ball. You had opportunities to connect the story in a better way, to make more sense out of why they're there, why they're doing this again. You know, I don't know. And going back to what Chris was saying, I hear music. What's going
on? It's background noise from Tony.
So, but
sorry.
That's all right. But if we're gonna do like the Ghost Corps as well, it could have been cool too, like what Chris is saying, expand in a bigger way. Maybe they take it overseas at one point too. Hit historical locations.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if the ghosts from like the Colosseum in Rome came
Yeah,
out
holy
and were
shit.
attacking? You have this crazy chariot scene, and there's so many cool things you could do.
Got Italian Ghostbusters, dude.
Yeah.
What about Mongolian Ghostbusters, and they go after the ghost of Genghis Khan?
Dude, but like that, now you've taken this out of Americana. You've taken this away from the just being a love letter to New York, and you've given this gift to the whole fucking world.
Yeah. There's
Like,
moments that could have worked and things you could have built upon, but I don't know. Let's see if they could turn this ship around, because again, it's not completely unsalvageable. There's still shit you could fix, but that next script better be damn good if you're going to continue this.
Yeah, it wasn't and again, from what I've been hearing, it's not a shit film. It's a mediocre film, and to Ghostbusters fans, that's acceptable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tony. Yeah. Give us some more thoughts on this, and anything else you'd like to say about it.
Well, number one, like, I'm pretty sure this is like, I don't want to say the first film of the entire franchise, but 2 years ago at this time, you and I kind of reviewed the first Ghostbusters Afterlife on Etep's channel.
Yep.
So it's back then, like you were saying, like, this movie was made with class. This was a great movie. It was made with class. I mean, we're raving about it, and now we're just like, this movie was made with ass. Yeah, it's just it's disappointing, and I had a weird feeling when I saw the trailers that it wasn't going to be like, again, it didn't look like a woke mess or agenda riddled or anything like that. It was just, it was a dull movie. Again, like the franchise would be the same whether this movie happened or not, and they should have waited till, instead of trying to rush it. And I get it, Sony's trying to build up another franchise because really all they have is Spider-Man and the whole Spider-Man universe. And what do they got over there? Madam Web and shit. They've played everything else out. So they're trying to get another moneymaker going. Sony isn't as big of a studio as, Warner Brothers or Disney.
Right.
But yeah,
but
if you don't have an idea for the movie, I mean, this was kind of forced. Like, okay, a sequel's going to happen, so get something down on paper.
Right, but at the same time, after you read the script and you kind of talk to the other people around, like, weren't there those questions that came up? Okay, why are they here? How did they get here? Like, it feels like the most logical, simple things that they could have answered and been like, okay, this is why, and let's put some meat on the bone. I don't even think it comes down to rushing it out, which, I mean, I know the studios want this shit, we made money, we'll get another one out. But even still, have someone go over the script and be like, okay, let's really make sure that this ain't going to be a stinker. If we're going to continue this franchise and this is going to be the start of, like, all right, we're kind of back to, now we're building up the Ghostbusters again. Because let's face it, the last movie wasn't building up the Ghostbusters again. It was the love letter to the Ghostbusters and a send-off, a proper send-off to Harold Ramis, and it was classy, it was good. Like we said, this needs to be igniting it again, and why we love the first movie and the second movie, and like the fun that we had with it, and that we want to explore these characters in this world again. No, this was just, we're going to tell a bizarre story with these people, and I don't know.
Well, it sounds like they were trapped into their own little microcosm, like had kind of like the prequels to Star Wars and stuff, where George Lucas literally had nobody tell him no. But like, if you sent this to a focus test, like a focus film watcher, watching party or whatever, and you got honest opinions from people who aren't your friends, like this is why it's important to get proofreaders who are not your friends. They would have torn this apart, dude.
Oh, yeah. And right here, too, because something like this, there was 2 or 3 moments in the movie that happened like this. Godzilla makes a great point. Yeah, that's what bothered him, too. Phoebe cuts the damn fire pole to get the breast, to melt it down, and then later they're using the pole to slide
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
How'd that happen?
I was thinking, do they have 2 poles or something? Like, yeah.
I think only sharks have that.
If there's something strange in your neighborhood, who are you going to call? Ghostbusters. If there's something weird and it don't look good, who are you going to call? Ghostbuster.
Oh shit!
The orange man knows.
Right? I know. I got one. I don't think I can play it until. I'll close YouTube and then I'll play it
Nah, I'm sad that like yet another like, you know. Well, here's the thing: is like I've been seeing some good stuff, so I'm not completely demoralized. Sorry, WEF I'm not completely demoralized, but like, you know, like I watched Invincible. I'm really enjoying that. Shogun, dude, that's a 10 out of 10 for me.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah, this was going to be the hat trick. This was going to be the turkey. You know, I was going to go in and see this one and be like, all right, media's coming back. And unfortunately, that doesn't seem to be the case. But I still have hope for Ghostbusters.
You know what I have hope for? And I know it's only a short trailer and they showed it. Beetlejuice.
Oh my God, dude. Yes. Yes.
I think that'll be the one. Because from what I heard too, Michael Keaton said it's the most fun he's had in like 20 to 25 years on a film set.
Fingers crossed, man.
You had, I think the writers worked on Smallville and they did something else that was bigger. I forgot what it was. My friend was telling me. But it seems like there are people who actually care about what they're working on. Plus, you have Tim Burton that came in there and made sure that it was going to work properly too. Because if it was a complete stinker, he wouldn't have done it. His movie, he's being more selective with what he does, and they've been trying for a number of years to get this one off the ground. Keaton's been screaming that he wants to play Beetlejuice again, and they finally did it. And from the trail, I showed the trailer on Friday. I mean, we could play it again if you guys want to see it.
Hell yeah!
But yeah, I'm going to close YouTube first, and then we'll play some other stuff before we do a send off.
I love that they're bringing in fresh meat like Jenna Ortega to kind of play. Like I'm assuming she's Winona Ryder's character's daughter.
I made a joke
for sure.
I made a joke. I think she could also be the help. She was cleaning the house, and
I like her. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, let me close YouTube before I get myself in trouble. Everyone who's on YouTube, thank you so much. We're still on X and Rumble right now, so we're gonna be there for a few more minutes. But YouTube, we're saying goodnight to you now. So the movie.